Chapter 1027. Ningxu and Lian Frost Dream's swords broke. The two of them threw away their swords and began to fight with their bare fists. Every fist struck flesh. Lian Frost Dream mixed in her internal strength, and Ningxu mixed in his internal strength. Lian Frost Dream was struck in the shoulder by Ningxu's fist. She stuffily coughed, feeling as if her shoulder was about to break and half of her body was numb. Lian Frost Dream was incomparably shocked. She never thought that Yu Shuangshuang's strength would be so great. It was as if she had been struck by a moving mountain. The blood in her lungs began to stir. Lian Frost Dream jumped onto the back of the phoenix and flew into the air. Yu Shuangshuang, your summoned beast has been entangled. Without your summoned beast, are you nothing? Damn, were they trying to bully her because she couldn't fly? Ningxu mobilized the energy in his body and floated in the air in front of Lian Frost Dream. Like this, he flew in front of Lian Frost Dream. Lian Frost Dream's pupils shrank. She almost blurted out to ask how Ningxu had done this, but she held back. The audience was in an uproar. Without the help of a summoned beast, it was impossible for a summoned beast to fly. Some summoned beasts that couldn't fly didn't have the chance to fly with their masters. Lian Frost Dream tightly frowned. She released the Fleshwing Dragon. The cute Fleshwing Dragon howled and turned into a fierce and massive dragon. The dragon swung its body and rushed towards Ningxu. Ningxu mobilized the energy in his dantian. A golden dragon slowly rose from behind Ningxu. With a silent roar, it rushed towards the dragon that was rushing towards him. The two dragons collided in front of everyone's eyes, emitting an unbearable sound wave. Some people covered their ears, their expressions uncomfortable. Teacher Wen stood up and stared at the golden dragon. He couldn't feel the life aura of the golden dragon. Was it not a living creature? The golden dragon and Fleshwing Dragon tangled together. From time to time, the dragon's roar would cause the students below to suffer. This battle had surpassed everyone's expectations. Now almost no one was able to intervene. Mentor Wen sat down and did not stop the battle. He narrowed his eyes and looked at the golden dragon on the stage. Even Frost Dream was left dumbfounded, unable to believe what she was seeing. What was going on with this dragon? Was it Yu Shuangshuang's summoned beast? Even Frost Dream felt an unprecedented sense of crisis in her heart, as well as a sense of helpless panic. How could Yu Shuangshuang be so powerful? That was impossible. After getting some free time, Ningxu asked Xiaoqiao, "How are you?" Ningxu could not help but be speechless as he looked at the entwined bodies below. He could not tell what was going on. Master, wah wah wah. Xiaoqiao was so angry that she cried out, "This guy is so annoying, his body stinks so stinky." Ningxu directly put the grass away. The grass turned into an ordinary grass and floated beside Ningxu. The ghost-faced demon vine stretched out its vines towards Ningxu, but it was blocked by Xiaoqiao. So annoying. Xiaoqiao's voice was particularly angry. She stretched out vines that covered the sky and covered the earth, and the vines were instantly covered with flowers. The entire arena stage was like a sea of flowers. Xiaoqiao wrapped around the ghost-faced demon vine, her pollen falling onto the vines. Weeds began to grow on the ghost-faced demon vine's pitch-black vines. The originally ugly ghost face became even more twisted, as if it felt fear and pain. More and more green grass began to grow from the vines. This was Xiaoqiao's parasitic ability. She never thought that it would have an effect on her own kind. The vines were covered with grass. As the grass absorbed the energy of the vines became increasingly weak. As the master of the vines, Lian Frost Dream was the first to feel the situation of her summoned beast. As she saw the ghost-faced demon vine covered in grass, she frowned. After struggling for a moment, she put away the ghost-faced demon vine. If it continued to be absorbed like this, then the energy of the ghost-faced demon vine would be completely absorbed. The only thing that awaited the ghost-faced demon vine was death. This ghost-faced demon vine was summoned through the mysterious bead, and was specifically used to restrain Yu Shuangshuang's summoned beast. Without awakening, the ghost-faced demon vine was helpless against Yu Shuangshuang's summoned beast. An indescribable sense of powerlessness appeared in Lian Frost Dream's heart. She had already summoned her most powerful plant-summoned beast. The ghost-faced demon vine had an extremely corrosive nature, And it also had demonic energy that could affect a person's mind. Ningxu's Xiaoqiao was something that he had painstakingly raised. As for Lien Frost Dream's ghost-faced demon vine, she had never thought of raising it. The ghost-faced demon vine's starting point was far higher than Xiaocao's. Without the ghost-faced demon vine disturbing her, Xiaoqiao felt much more relaxed. Your master can't float anymore. Get a chair. The energy in her dantian had already been sucked away by the dragon-shaped energy. Now she couldn't support herself and fall down. Okay. Xiaoqiao got a chair. Flowers bloomed all over it. Ningxu thought that this little loli was particularly vain. Ningxu sat on the chair. He almost wanted to lie down, but with so many people watching, he had to maintain his cool. Ningxu watched as the dragon-shaped energy and the flesh-winged dragon trembled. The two dragons had nearly destroyed the arena stage. Xiaoqiao stretched out her overwhelming vines towards Lien Frost Dream. It looked as if she wanted to wrap around Lien Frost Dream. Master, I'll wrap around her. Whip her, okay. Xiaocao's soft and cute voice sounded out in Ningxu's mind. Ningxu puff. Ningxu nodded. Lien Frost Dream's complexion paled. The phoenix beneath her feet looked at the vines that were reaching towards her, its eyes flashing with contempt. It opened its beak and spat out golden flames. The flames of a phoenix were not the flames of a luan. A phoenix's flames would never be extinguished. The vines were instantly burned to ashes by the golden flames. Xiaoqiao immediately retracted the vines that were extending towards that direction. Ningxu stood up in shock. He asked, "Are you all right?" It hurts, it hurts. Xiaoqiao cried. I can't absorb this fire. Absorb my ass. I'll be burnt to ashes in an instant. Xiaoqiao carefully stretched out her vines and touched the nirvanic flames burning on the ground. As soon as she touched the nirvanic flames, she immediately retracted her vines. As soon as she touched the nirvanic flames, her vines would be burnt to ashes. Xiaoqiao constantly tried to absorb the power of the nirvanic flames. But the phoenix was the essence of fire. It wasn't something that Xiaoqiao could absorb. Seeing the phoenix's nirvanic flames restrain the vines, Lien Frost Dream's complexion became much better. There were already many wounds on the flesh-winged dragon's body. With a swipe of the golden dragon's claws, a deep wound would appear on the flesh-winged dragon's body. But she didn't know what sort of monster this was. It was transparent and couldn't be hurt at all. Ew! The flesh-winged dragon let out a mournful roar as a chunk of its flesh was torn off. As the dragon meat fell to the ground, Xiaoqiao immediately took it for her own. Lien Frost Dream painfully took back the flesh-winged dragon, and had the phoenix spit fire at the golden dragon. Ningxu directly withdrew his dragon-shaped energy. The dragon-shaped energy returned to his dantian. Chapter 1028. The fierce battle came to a temporary halt. Clusters of nirvanic flames burned on the arena stage. Ningxu sat on a flower chair as he stared at Lien Frost Dream, who was standing on the back of a phoenix. The two of them were silent. The audience was also silent. The battle just now had completely surpassed their imaginations and challenged their worldview. Damn, when could a summoned beast be so fierce? And when could a summoner be so fierce? Lien Frost Dream looked at Ningxu with a complex expression. She asked, Who are you? Aren't you Yushuangshuang? What are you saying? If I'm not Yushuangshuang, then who am I? Ningxu was bewildered. Yushuangshuang shouldn't be so strong. Lien Frost Dream's sharp eyes scraped over Ningxu's face. Ningxu's complexion didn't change. If you can be strong, then why can't I be? This is different. Lien Frost Dream shook her head. She wasn't Yushuangshuang, but had relied on a mysterious bead to summon a powerful summoned beast. Did Yushuangshuang have some sort of treasure on her body? Lien Frost Dream thought that Ningxu had some sort of treasure on him that could change his destiny. Or perhaps he had some sort of fortuitous encounter that caused her to become like this. Ningxu picked a flower and smelled it. What's different about it? Lien Frost Dream faintly smiled. She lightly said, Although you are stronger than I imagined, if you think you can defeat me, then you are far too naive. No matter what move you use, I will receive it. Ningxu stood up. Victory and defeat hadn't been decided yet. They had to fight. Lien Frost Dream closed her eyes and muttered, The White Tiger invites you out. White Tiger? Ningxu was stunned. This shouldn't be the ancient god beast white tiger. Ningxu's expression was vigilant. A man wearing silver clothes descended from the skies. He had a head of snow-white hair, noble and proud. Standing there, he seemed to be able to prop up the heavens. His body was filled with a deep killing intent. The white tiger was the master of killing. A humanoid summoned beast. The audience was in an uproar. Only powerful summoned beasts could transform into human form. The boy's eyes were filled with envy and jealousy, while the girl's eyes were filled with stars. Such a powerful summoned beast, and it was so handsome and charming. The white tiger floated in the air. His white hair did not have the slightest hint of age. His face was delicate and handsome, and there was a noble air between his brows. He turned his head and looked at Lien Frostdream. Why did you suddenly summon me? Didn't you never summon me? The white tiger looked around and finally fixed its eyes on Ningxu. Ningxu instantly felt countless evil and murderous auras gushing towards her, which began to affect her mind. Ningxu chanted the clear heart mantra in his heart. Coupled with the effect of the heart-calming pill, he did not let Ningxu lose himself in the evil qi. Ningxu was speechless. Fuck, just how many summoned beasts does this guy have? This cheat is a little too big. Not only does he have dragons and phoenixes, he even has ancient divine beasts now. Damn, is he going to summon an azure dragon, black tortoise, or something like that? Just what was that bead? It was too fierce. None of my other summoned beasts are her match, so I could only call you out. Lien Frostdream's face flushed red. In front of so many people, she could not lose. The white tiger's white hair floated in the air. I can help you, but you must think of the conditions. Lien Frostdream's complexion darkened. What sort of summoned beast was this? How could it be so arrogant? Ningxu listened to the conversation between the two. Could it be that the white tiger had conditions for helping Lien Frostdream? As long as you win this match, I will do as you wish. Lien Frostdream said. The white tiger nodded and turned to look at Ningxu. Ningxu stretched out his hand. Then, Ningxu felt as if he couldn't control his own body as he floated towards the white tiger. Ningxu's heart was filled with hatred. Wasn't this just a beast? Ningxu mobilized the energy within his body. A golden dragon emerged from Ningxu's body and rushed towards the white tiger. The white tiger's expression was indifferent. From beginning to end, its complexion hadn't changed at all. As Lien Frostdream looked at the somewhat distressed Ningxu, she couldn't help but smile. The white tiger was her most powerful summon beast. It could definitely defeat Shuangshuang. Master, what do we do now? Little Grass asked Ningxu. With that bird present, there was no way for her to help. Little Grass tried to absorb the nirvanic flames burning on the ground, but as soon as it touched the flames, the vines turned to ashes. Luckily, she had absorbed the fire energy of the Luan Phoenix before, so she had a bit of resistance. Ningxu looked at the battle between the golden energy and the white tiger. The white tiger's posture was relaxed. It hadn't even transformed into its true form. It held onto the tail of the dragon-shaped energy. No matter how much the dragon-shaped energy struggled, it couldn't break free. Heavens, how powerful! The audience gasped. This was only an academy competition, yet it had reached such a degree. Even the teachers of the academy might not have a humanoid summon beast. Their eyes couldn't move away from the white-haired white tiger. Their eyes were filled with longing, and even their eyes were filled with awe as they looked at Lien Frostdream. Lien Frostdream had reached a height that they could only dream of. Big sister. The little bean clenched his fists, staring at Ningxu on the stage. My big sister will be fine, right? The little bean pulled on Teacher Wen's clothes. Help my big sister. Aren't you her teacher? Teacher Wen's expression was gentle. Sit down. If something happens, I will go up and stop the competition. Teacher Wen narrowed his eyes as he watched the situation on the stage. This was really unexpected. Perhaps his goal of all these years was about to be realized. His desire to become a powerful summoner was about to be realized. Tutor Wen looked at the little kid who had a tense and worried face. You and your sister cultivate Do Qi. Yes. The little bean was worried about his big sister. When Ningxu saw that the dragon-shaped force was at a disadvantage, she took a deep breath and sat cross-legged on the rattan chair. She took out a spirit marrow crystal from her bag and held it in her palm, absorbing the spirit chi within the spirit marrow crystal. The terrifying spiritual energy from the spirit marrow crystal flowed through Ningxu's meridians and into her dantian. Ningxu's body trembled because the terrifying spiritual energy had broken her meridians. Her dantian felt as if countless blades were scraping against it, but the spiritual energy only circled around her dantian for a moment before disappearing. With enough spiritual energy, the dragon-shaped energy howled, and its golden body shined even brighter. Its dragon scales were vivid and lifelike, as if it were a giant golden dragon. The dragon-shaped energy shook off the white tiger's hand and broke free from its control. The white tiger was surprised. He tilted his head and looked at the dragon-shaped energy. I wonder if you can develop intelligence? But you must disappear now. The white tiger stretched out his hand, and an invisible force took control of the giant dragon. The white tiger clenched his hand, and the golden dragon-shaped energy exploded with a bang. It turned into a golden light and finally disappeared, no longer in its dragon form. Chapter 1029. Ningxu's dragon-shaped energy was easily annihilated by the white tiger. Ningxu stuffily coughed and spat out a mouthful of blood. Ningxu's eyes dimmed. His dantian was riddled with holes, and his meridians were twisted and broken. Master! Little Grass was so scared that she began to cry. A wave of wood attribute energy entered Ningxu's body, slowly repairing Ningxu's broken body. Seeing Ningxu vomit blood, Lian Frostdream relaxed. She thought that Yu Shuangshuang was so fierce that she couldn't be defeated. Yu Shuangshuang, it's not too late for you to admit defeat. Although I don't know whether or not that dragon was your summoned beast, it has already disappeared. There are also your vines. Under Feng Er's nirvanic flames, they can only turn to ashes. Master, she's too arrogant. I want to kill her. Little Grass shouted out in a cute voice, her voice echoing in Ningxu's heart. Don't make trouble, Ningxu weakly said. Ningxu looked at Lian Frostdream. This girl's cheats were simply enough to rush out of the universe. Ningxu wasn't willing to give up, but what methods did he have to defeat her now? The difference between her and Yu Shuangshuang was that she was standing at the starting point, but Yu Shuangshuang was already standing at the end. What a scam! She was invincible to this degree. Yu Shuangshuang frowned as she saw Ningxu refuse to admit defeat. She became vigilant. Did he have some other hidden card? It's best if you admit defeat like this. If you fight to the death, it won't be good for later matches, Lian Frostdream said. Ningxu's entire body twitched with pain. As he heard Lian Frostdream's words, he rolled his eyes. I like to stay on stage. Come and bite me. I'm telling you to admit defeat for your own good. I don't want you to suffer some irreversible injury. Lian Frostdream's expression didn't change. Ningxu's dantian was uncomfortably empty. He sat down cross-legged and began to revolve his peerless martial arts. He didn't think that the surrounding spiritual energy would howl towards him. Ningxu rushed over, and the spiritual energy in his body turned into streams of water that flowed into his dantian. Ningxu was shocked. What was going on? Ningxu's dantian was like a big pond, filled with liquid spirit chi. A golden water dragon formed in Ningxu's dantian. The water dragon swam and jumped in the spirit liquid. If a gas turned into a liquid, would it turn into a solid next time? It was getting denser and denser. And so was the concentration of spiritual energy. No construction without destruction? Could it be that he had unlocked another cultivation method for peerless martial arts? White Tiger, kill her. As Frostdream saw a hurricane of spiritual energy form around Ningxu, she quickly shouted out to the White Tiger. Although she didn't know what had happened to Ningxu, she knew that it definitely wasn't anything good. Ningxu, who was floating in the air, walked over. He probably wanted to study what had happened to Ningxu, so he didn't immediately kill Ningxu. Xiaoqiao immediately stretched out countless vines, wanting to entangle White Tiger. Feng Spitfire. Frostdream lifted her foot and gently stamped on the phoenix's back. The phoenix immediately spat out golden flames towards the vines. As soon as the nirvanic flames touched the vines were burnt to ashes. However, Xiaoqiao continued to stretch out her vines towards the White Tiger, wanting to stop the white tiger's footsteps. Finally, the vines were turned to ashes. Feng or burn that grass to death. Frost Dream calmly said as she stamped her foot. Frost Dream, wait a moment. Instructor Wen said as he stood up. Frost Dream felt sour in her heart. She clenched her teeth and said, Spitfire. Frost Dream had a premonition that Yu Shuangshuang would be a great enemy in the future. Now that she had forced out all of her cards, it was over. Yu Shuangshuang would continue to grow in the future. She didn't know what she would become. White Tiger Void Ningxu walked over. Vines wrapped around his ankles, but the vines were immediately shaken to dust. The phoenix spat out nirvanic flames from its mouth. The flames submerged the entire arena, including Xiao Qiao. The vines danced in the sea of fire before finally turning to ashes. The white tiger walked in front of Ningxu. It opened its mouth and sucked all of the spiritual energy around Ningxu into its body. White tiger, kill her. Frost Dream shouted towards the white tiger. Lien Frost Dream, this is a match that will end when the time comes. Instructor Wen released his own summoned beast. A massive golden dragon covered the skies as it hovered above the academy. Frost Dream felt even more sour. Why did her teacher protect Yu Shuangshuang every time? What was so good about Yu Shuangshuang? It wasn't fair at all. It wasn't fair at all. The white tiger looked at the massive golden dragon. Why is there another dragon here? Were golden dragons popular this year? The white tiger reached out and grabbed Ningxu's neck. A golden dragon stretched out from behind Ningxu, but this dragon was made of water. This dragon wasn't too large. It was around the size of a person. As soon as it appeared, it bit down on the white tiger's wrist. The white tiger used its other hand to crush the golden dragon. The golden dragon turned into drops of golden water, before rapidly recovering to its original state. The golden dragon bit down with all its strength and broke the white tiger's wrist. The white tiger roared and instantly turned into a massive white tiger that stepped on flames. It was incomparably ferocious, carrying with it an ancient and desolate aura. In front of the massive white tiger, the golden dragon seemed very small. It was unknown whether or not it was made of water, but this time the golden dragon's aura was much stronger. It even blinked its eyes, seeming very intelligent. The golden dragon rushed towards the white tiger. Ningxu opened his eyes and saw the raging flames on the arena stage. But Xiao Qiao had already disappeared without a trace. Ningxu's heart skipped a beat. He quickly shouted out in his mind, Xiao Qiao, where are you? Respond. There was no response. Xiao Cao's soft voice didn't appear. Was she burned to ashes? Ningxu felt an incomparable pain in his heart. His head buzzed as he looked at Frost Dream with red eyes. Frost Dream lifted her chin. Ningxu faintly asked, Did you kill my summoned beast? She was the one who stretched out her vines. Am I supposed to let her wrap around me? Frost Dream was well aware that if she was wrapped around by the vines, she was basically at the mercy of others. If it were anyone else, they would have allowed themselves to be wrapped around by the vines. Ningxu flew through the air towards Frost Dream. As Frost Dream saw Ningxu's cold face, her heart trembled. The phoenix beneath Frost Dream's feet began to spit out flames. Ningxu leapt away from the fire dragon and flew in front of Lien Frostmeng, nearly touching her nose with her nose. Ningxu suddenly reached out and pulled Frost Dream off his back. Frost Dream fell onto the arena stage. The phoenix was Frost Dream's summoned beast. The flames of nirvanic rebirth were unable to harm it. Frost Dream quickly looked up. As she saw Ningxu standing on the back of her summoned beast, she immediately tried to recall her summoned beast. Ningxu squatted down and mobilized the energy in his dantian into his fist. He raised his fist and smashed it against the phoenix's back. Chirp chirp. The phoenix cried out in a mournful voice. Ningxu punched the phoenix's back again and again, leaving behind a bloody mess. Chapter 1030. Fomer, come back. Lien Frost Dream anxiously shouted, tears streaming down her face. She couldn't fly in the air like Ningxu could. Ningxu tightly grabbed onto the phoenix's feathers, a fist pounding on its back. The phoenix's cries became weaker and weaker. Yu Shuangshuang, let her go, otherwise I will fight you to the death. Lien Frost Dream shouted at Ningxu, her voice filled with deep hatred. That was her companion. White Tiger, White Tiger, hurry and save Feng. Lien Frost Dream shouted at the White Tiger. The White Tiger was entangled by the Golden Dragon. This water-shaped dragon was extremely difficult to deal with. Even if it was crushed beneath its feet and turned into a puddle of water, it would still be able to regenerate. Lien Frost Dream, since you killed my summon, I will also kill your summon. Ningxu grabbed onto the phoenix's mangled flesh and blood. He mobilized the energy within his body and used all of his strength to tear the phoenix in half. Chirp chirp. The phoenix emitted a mournful cry as blood sprayed out. The phoenix's blood was scorching hot, and the blood that splashed out fell from the sky like a rain of fire. Ningxu held the phoenix's corpse in one hand. Just looking at it made one's heart tremble. Feng, Feng. Lien Frost Dream cried out. You shuang shuang, I will fight you to the death. Ningxu threw away the phoenix's corpse. If you want to fight me to the death, then so be it. Since you killed my summon, then I will also kill your summon. Lien Frost Dream paled, her entire body shivering. With the phoenix's death, the nirvanic flames on the arena stage began to slowly extinguish. Ningxu saw a clump of grass that was about to turn to ash. Lien Frost Dream felt as much pain as Ningxu felt. Lien Frost Dream picked up the broken sword on the ground and thrust it at Ningxu. Ningxu released his energy, shaking Lien Frost Dream away. Lien Frost Dream was sent flying back onto the arena stage. She coughed twice in discomfort. You shuang shuang, you killed my summon and my companion. This enmity is absolutely irreconcilable. Lien Frost Dream closed her eyes and summoned the Titan Giant Ape. As the Titan Giant Ape spoke, the entire arena stage trembled. The Titan Giant Ape had boundless strength and could move mountains. Kill her, turn her into meat paste. Lien Frost Dream coldly shouted out. You shuang shuang, you must pay the price. Upon receiving its master's instructions, the Titan Ape raised its fist and charged at Ningxu. Not only was the Titan Giant Ape extremely strong, but it was also extremely fast. Ningxu raised her fists and rushed towards the Titan Giant Ape in front of everyone's eyes. She used her fists to fight back. As long as it was made of flesh and blood, there was no one who did not fear pain and could not be beaten to death. Ningxu mobilized the energy in his body and collided with the Titan Giant Ape's fist. The instant their fists made contact, the air rippled. Ningxu and the Titan Ape seemed to be frozen. In the next second, the Titan Giant Ape flew backward and fell to the ground with a thud, its fists limp. The Titan Giant Ape roared at Ningxu with bloodshot eyes. Lien Frost Dream had a splitting headache. She shouted at the White Tiger with dissatisfaction. Aren't you being too perfunctory? Kill this woman, and I'll give you what you want. The White Tiger ignored the Golden Dragon's harassment. It roared and rushed towards Ningxu. The White Tiger was called a god beast, but it was only a high-level monster beast. Ningxu formed hand seals. For better or worse, she had stayed in the world of cultivation for a long time. Speaking of which, she was ashamed. This was something that Kelp had taught her. Ningxu constantly changed her hand seals, nearly drawing out all the spiritual energy in her Dantian spirit lake, and weaving it into an invisible cage that trapped the White Tiger. If it were before, there wouldn't have been enough spiritual energy to support Ningxu's beast trapping art. In the world of cultivation, the beast trapping art required a cultivation above the soul formation realm to have enough spiritual energy to use. The White Tiger was trapped in this invisible cage. No matter how it tried, it couldn't escape. It constantly roared. What are you doing? Hurry up. Lien Frost Dream shouted at the White Tiger. Her complexion incomparably ugly. Ningxu formed hand seals and slowly closed the cage. With no other choice, the White Tiger could only transform into its human form. The White Tiger looked at Ningxu and said with a sound transmission, "This is a cultivation technique." Ningxu didn't respond. Lien Frost Dream saw that the White Tiger couldn't escape. She deeply looked at Ningxu and then directly shouted at Mentor One, who was standing atop the Golden Dragon's head. "I admit defeat." Lien Frost Dream's good impression of Mentor One had completely vanished. She watched from the sidelines. She needed a lover and a companion that she could entrust her back to, not someone like Mentor One. "You shuang shuang victory," Mentor One shouted. Lien Frost Dream wanted to take back the White Tiger, but discovered that it couldn't return. The white tiger had been controlled by Yu Shuangshuang. Lian Frost Dream stared at Ning Shu in a daze. How had she done this? She really couldn't see through Yu Shuangshuang anymore. Was this really the Yu Shuangshuang she knew? Yu Shuangshuang, I've already admitted defeat. What else do you want? Release the white tiger. Lian Frost Dream calmly shouted at Ning Shu. Ning Shu ignored Yu Shuangshuang. He stared at the black ash on the arena stage, feeling something strange. Under Ning Shu's gaze, a tender green blade of grass began to grow out from the black ash. Then a blade of grass began to grow. Ning Shu's heart was filled with endless joy. Was this a little grass? Is that you? Ning Shu anxiously asked in his mind. Master. A soft voice sounded out in Ning Shu's mind, causing Ning Shu's heart to melt. You scared me to death. Ning Shu sternly said. Don't you know how to run after being burned by fire? The little grass floated around Ning Shu. It's good that you're fine. It's good that you're fine. Ning Shu let out a long breath. Lian Frost Dream was shocked as she looked at the little grass that had come back from the dead. Then her face paled. Yu Shuangshuang, you treacherous woman. You actually had your summoned beast fake its death. Isn't your summoned beast a phoenix? Why don't you just have it be reborn from the ashes? Ning Shu said without a care in the world. Although the little grass was ordinary, it had a tenacious life force that couldn't be burned away by a wildfire. Yu Shuangshuang, what kind of attitude is this? I'll kill you. Lian Frost Dream was so angry that her face paled. The match is already over. Do you still want to fight me? Ning Shu lightly said. Lian Frost Dream was angered by Ning Shu's attitude, her lungs about to explode. Her face paled. Your summoned beast is alive, but my summoned beast is dead. I'll have you pay for my summoned beast with your life. Lian Frost Dream glanced at the trapped white tiger. This person was simply unreliable. It was as if she had come here to play. If it weren't for the fact that she had something she wanted, this evil beast wouldn't have bothered with her at all. My summoned beast relied on its own ability to survive. If your summoned beast didn't survive, what does that have to do with me? Ning Shu snappily said. Yu Shuangshuang, don't be too arrogant. Lian Frost Dream clenched her teeth so hard that her gums were bleeding. Her mind was in chaos. There was simply no way for her to eliminate the resentment in her heart. Whether it was for her own face or for the grudge between them, Lian Frost Dream wanted to kill Ning Shu to alleviate the grief in her heart. Chapter 1031. Yu Shuangshuang, I will kill you. Lian Frost Dream's eyes were red as a bead slowly rose from her head. This bead was blood red, and it seemed as if blood energy was surging within it. Sometimes it would change, dazzling anyone who saw it. Lian Frost Dream had placed all of her hopes on this bead. As long as someone was sucked into this bead, they would be lost inside, never to leave. Moreover, this bead could help her summon powerful summoned beasts. As soon as the bead came out, the trapped white tiger stared at it. Ning Shu looked at the bead floating above Lian Frost Dream's head. What was this bead? Lian Frost Dream was so eager to kill her that she had even taken out her own hidden card. Yu Shuangshuang, I never thought that we would reach this step. I truly thought of you as a friend, but you actually cruelly killed my summoned beast. Lian Frost Dream coldly said. Ning Shu didn't want to listen to Lian Frost Dream speak. In any case, Lian Frost Dream would always be the victim. She was the traitor who didn't know what was good for her. Ning Shu. 2333's voice suddenly sounded in Ning Shu's mind. Ning Shu was surprised. Wasn't 2333 supposed to complete his data? Why would he suddenly appear? Have you completed the data? Ning Shu vigilantly looked at Lian Frost Dream as he asked 2333 in his mind. How is that possible? 2333 snappily said. The space system is about to explode. What's wrong? The soul bead exploded. Exploded. Ning Shu held his head in his hands. How could it explode? It's not an explosion, but it's extremely restless. It's jumping around in the system space like a marble. 2333 said. Ning Shu, what had happened that she didn't know about? Ning Shu carefully asked. What happened? It's that bead that caught your eye. What bead is that? Ning Shu asked. Seeing Lian Frost Dream throw the bead at him, Ningxiu quickly dodged. As soon as he approached the bead, Ningxiu felt a massive suction force pull him into the bead. What sort of evil thing was this? What is this thing? Ningxiu anxiously asked. There are animals in this world that can freely pass through planes. For instance, you were a mouse. There are also things that can freely pass through planes and take things from another plane and bring them here. This kind of thing can ignore all rules. Spatial barriers are nothing to it. Ningxiu was dumbfounded. Damn, there were so many strange and heaven-defying things in this world. Lien Frost's summons were all summoned by this heaven-defying bead. Then, how did this bead recognize Frost Dream as its master? Ningxiu didn't dare to approach the pearl, fearing that the pearl would suck her in. Why was the soul pearl drooling over it? Let me go and I'll work with you to control this bead. How about that? The trapped white tiger suddenly asked Ningxiu. As Lien Frost Dream heard this, her face twisted with anger. For better or worse, the white tiger was her summoned beast. For it to suddenly betray her like this made her feel extremely embarrassed. Ningxiu ignored the white tiger. Little grass stretched out its vines and quietly dragged away the phoenix's corpse, instantly absorbing the phoenix's energy. The corpse had been destroyed. Then little grass stretched out its vines towards the white tiger, but it was blocked. The beast trapping art had trapped the white tiger, making it so that no one could enter. Ningxiu was chased all over the place by a bead. He was afraid that little grass would be taken away by the bead, so he called little grass back. Ningxiu anxiously asked 2333. Is there any way to obtain this master bead? Isolate the spiritual connection between the master and the bead. 2333 said. Damn, how was he going to isolate it? Lien Frost Dream's face was cold. As she saw Ningxiu being chased around like a mouse, she felt her anger rise. Ever since she crossed over, she had never been in such a difficult situation. This was all because of Yu Shuangshuang. Frost Dream, are you alright? Lien Frost Dream's companions came up and worriedly asked her. The previous battle wasn't something that they could intervene in. Now that the battle had stopped, they could come over and take a look at the situation. Ningxiu took a deep breath. No matter what, he had to try. Ningxiu released the golden dragon from his dantian. As soon as the golden dragon came out, it opened its mouth and swallowed the bead. Then it returned to Ningxiu's dantian. The bead floated in Ningxiu's dantian spirit lake. It actually began to absorb the spiritual energy in his dantian like a glutton. Ningxiu. Damn. If it continued to absorb like this, then no matter how much spiritual energy she had, it wouldn't be enough. This was simply putting a scourge into his body. Courting death. I'll take the bead, 2333 said. Hurry up. An inexplicable strength wrapped around the bead and it disappeared. Ah. Lien Frost Dream clutched her head and fell to her knees. With a puff, she spat out a mouthful of blood. Her complexion was one of incomparable pain and panic. She couldn't sense the existence of the bead. Where had her bead gone? Without the bead, how was she supposed to summon her summons? What was she supposed to do? Without the bead, she had returned to her original state. This couldn't happen, this couldn't happen. Lien Frost Dream, what's wrong? Muziki anxiously asked Lien Frost Dream. Lien Frost Dream didn't bother wiping the blood from her lips. Ningxiu rushed over, his face ferocious. Yu Shuangshuang, give me back my bead. That's mine. Who cares about yours? Ningxiu took out a bead and tossed it to Lien Frost Dream. This bead was exactly the same as the one Lien Frost Dream had. He finally discovered one of 2333's advantages, and that was that he could make a fake that was similar. Ningxiu didn't want Lien Frost Dream to ask for things from him every day, so he might as well let her play around with a fake. Lien Frost Dream hurriedly caught the bead and let out a sigh of relief. This thing had finally returned to her hands. Lien Frost Dream clearly knew that everything she had was given to her by this bead. Without this bead, it was impossible for her to be strong. However, this bead no longer had a spiritual connection to her, so she had no way of controlling it. Lien Frost Dream, do you want to kill me now? Ningxiu released Little Grass. Little Grass stretched out its vines and wrapped around Lien Frost Dream. Lien Frost Dream was caught off guard by the vines and the bead in her hand fell to the ground. Her complexion immediately changed. She wanted to pick up the bead, but she was tied up and unable to move. You Shuang, you're taking advantage of me. Lian Frost Dream shouted at Ning Shu as she struggled. Her face was pale and she bit her lips, stubbornly looking at Ning Shu. Mu Ziki saw that Lian Frost Dream was tied up. Ning Shu roared. You Shuang, let go of Lian Frost Dream, otherwise I'll teach you a lesson. How will you teach me a lesson? Ning Shu indifferently said. Little grass stretched out its vines and wrapped them around Mu Ziki. Mu Ziki's complexion changed. He had been tied up too many times. He didn't even know how many times he had been tied up. Chapter 1032. Little Grass tied up Frost Dream and Mu Ziki. She excitedly asked Ning Shu, Master, can I whip them now? Ning Shu always felt that Little Grass had gone astray. Where did she learn this strange habit from? You Shuang, the competition is over. Teacher Wen stood on the golden dragon. Ning Shu said, the people behind still have to compete. Oh, Ning Shu had Little Grass release the two people. Even though Teacher Wen was speaking up for her, Frost Dream still felt hatred towards him. She had a good impression of Teacher Wen, but Teacher Wen was biased towards Yu Shuang. He felt that Yu Shuang was strong, so he was biased towards her. Since you don't care, then I'll give up. Yu Shuang, I won't forget that you killed my summoned beast. Frost Dream was released by the vines. She quickly picked up the bead on the ground and angrily shouted at Ning Shu. Ning Shu was about to speak when he suddenly turned his head to look at the distant sky. There was a black mass flying towards them. Moreover, it was extremely fast. The black dot was growing larger and larger. Teacher Wen also looked over. Soon they arrived above the academy. It was a group of griffins. On the back of each griffin stood a guard in armor. It's the Empire's griffin team. What is the griffin team doing at our academy? The students were all talking. Ning Shu was the first to react. The griffin team was the divine weapon of Mu Ziki's grandfather. Ning Shu looked up at the person at the front of the griffin team. This was a robust man with a white beard. He was standing on the back of a giant bird. The bird's feathers were very beautiful. It was like a peacock that had been magnified many times. It looked very similar to Miss Mu's summoned beast that had died under the man-eating tree. However, this bird was much stronger than Miss Mu's. Grandfather. Mu Ziki saw Marshal Mu and quickly shouted. He had an embarrassed expression as he pulled at his tattered clothes. Marshal Mu looked down at his grandson's injuries. How did you end up in such a sorry state? Mu Ziki lowered his head and didn't speak. Marshal Mu, why did you summon the academy? You even brought the griffin team with you. What you're doing is a little inappropriate. Teacher Wen stood on the head of the golden dragon and said gently, Teacher Wen, I'll have to trouble you today. I'm here to seek justice for my dead granddaughter. Marshal Mu said politely, but he wasn't afraid of the summoning academy. Teacher Wen's expression didn't change. As far as I know, your granddaughter has already graduated from the Summoner's Academy. What justice are you seeking now? Marshal Mu, although our Summoner's Academy doesn't have the Griffin team, we aren't afraid of them. If the Summoner's Academy didn't have any strong people, how could it stand tall among the countries? Marshal Mu stroked his white beard and said, I'm only here to arrest the murderer of my daughter. I hope Instructor Wen can make things easier for me. A general of a country, a pillar of the empire, speaking like this to Teacher Wen was already giving him face. Ning Shu instantly had a bad premonition in his heart. Damn, could it be that he had found out about her? Strictly speaking, the eldest daughter of the Mu family was killed by the man-eating tree. At most, she could be considered to have left her in the lurch and robbed her of her wealth. Teacher Wen asked, Who is it? You tell me who it is. Marshal Mu waved his hand, and a guard escorted a person over. Ning Shu took a look and saw that it was De Yong. De Yong's body was covered in blood, and there was blood at the corner of his mouth. It was obvious that he had been severely tortured. The Mu family had actually found out about De Yong. Ning Shu thought about all kinds of things in his heart. He wanted to let Xiao Qiao entangle Mu Ziki, but if there was any movement he would be in a disadvantageous situation. Look, is there the person you're talking about here? Marshal Mu stroked his beard and said to De Yong. De Yong's eyes stopped on Ningshu's body. Master, are you okay? Ningshu asked De Yong. De Yong shook his head. Marshal Mu said, a group of people went to the fallen mountain range, and only the two of you survived. My granddaughter was robbed of all her money. How dare you say it wasn't you? I went to your house to investigate. Your house was originally poor, but now I found a lot of gold coins in your house. Ningshu's expression changed. What did you do to my parents? They were locked up in the heavenly prison. Marshal Mu lightly said, the talented children of the Mu family died, so they had to pay the price. Not only did they offend nobles, but they also assassinated them. Ningshu's veins popped out on his forehead. The plot was really fucked up. The Yu family still suffered a calamity. When Yu Shuangshuang used a dagger to attack Lien Frostdream, her family also suffered. Sister. Little Bean ran onto the stage and stood in front of Ningshu. Don't you dare hurt my sister. Ningshu pulled Little Bean behind her and said coldly, I don't know what you're talking about. Back then, De Yong and I had joined the mercenary team to escort Lady Mu to the Jade Wave Cold Pond in the Fallen Mountain Range to pick the Snow Soul Lotus Seed. Everyone was killed by the Mu family's elderly and used as bait. I made a prompt decision and ran away with De Yong. Marshal, it's the same as what the mercenary said. The guard said to Marshal Mu. Marshal Mu lightly said, but you returned to the Fallen Mountain Range. No matter what, you have to pay with your life for my granddaughter. Marshal Mu said. Grandfather, did she really kill my sister? Mu Ziqi's eyes were red as he looked at Ningshu. You Shuangshuang, you really are ruthless. My sister had no enmity with you. Why did you kill her? I already said, I didn't kill her. Ningshu raised his chin. Instead, it was your Mu family that killed the mercenaries. If we didn't run fast enough, we would have been poisoned to death by the Mu family's serpent. I don't have the ability to kill the Mu family's young miss. My family's money came from the gold coins I obtained from killing magical beasts. Ningshu loudly shouted. Without any evidence, what right do you have to arrest my parents and throw them into prison? Naturally, I will arrest them after investigating thoroughly. If you want evidence, I will naturally give it to you. Arrest him. Marshal Mu waved his hand, and the Griffin team rushed towards Ningshu. Xiao Chao stretched out countless vines and entangled the Griffin team that was rushing towards Ningshu. The Little Bean stretched out his fist and punched the guard, sending him flying. The entire arena was covered with vines, and the guard couldn't get close to Ningshu at all. Ningshu stood in the air and coldly looked at Marshal Mu. What is the evidence that Marshal Mu is talking about? If you can't produce evidence, I will not surrender. What you need to do now is to prove that you are not the murderer, not ask me for evidence. Marshal Mu stood on the back of the giant bird with his hands behind his back. Ningshu. Damn. What was the difference between proving that he was innocent and proving that he was Yu Shuangshuang, and that his name was Yu Shuangshuang? Being accused of murder and having to prove that he was innocent? Shouldn't he prove that she was guilty? Chapter 1033. Ningshu was speechless. The Mu family was too domineering. They deliberately found people to vent their anger. Why didn't they say that the Mu family killed so many mercenaries? Xiao Chao was very happy to tie people up. The Little Bean was able to beat back the tall and strong guards. Although the Little Bean was small, the guards were no match for the Little Bean. Mentorwin stood on the dragon's head and stared at the Little Bean without saying anything. But his eyes were getting brighter and brighter. Mentorwin didn't say anything about the grudge between Ningshu and the Mu family. He didn't judge who was right and who was wrong. Little one, I asked you to take care of the academy. What are you doing now? The Empire's Griffin team came to the academy. An old man in a long robe appeared. This old man's robe was dirty and stained with some unknown stains. The old man looked quite wretched. He was balding and had a Mediterranean hairstyle. His bald head was greasy. Dean. Huang Jinlong lowered his head. Mentorwin walked down the dragon's head and walked to the dean. What happened? The dean touched his head and felt the grease on his hands. He wiped the grease on his hands on his robe. Tutorwin explained the whole story to him. The dean stared at the Little Bean. It's quite powerful. Dean, I think it's time to make a move. The siblings cultivate Do Qi. This Do Qi is quite powerful. It's time for summoners to rise. Summoners no longer need to rely on the protection of summoned beasts. Mentor Wen stood next to the dean and stared at the siblings. You want me to save them? The dean touched his head again and felt the grease on his hands. He wanted to wipe it on Mentor Wen's body. Mentor Wen took a step back. Teacher, I'm serious. The dean nodded and shouted at Marshal Mu. Old Mu, why did you come to my academy? You even brought so many people with you. You scared my students. Old Luo, you know that my granddaughter was killed. Do you want to make things difficult for me? Marshal Mu obviously had a good relationship with the dean. There's no evidence to prove that she killed your granddaughter. Old Mu, children and grandchildren are free and happy. Don't go backward. With so many people, can I take it as putting pressure on the academy? The dean said. Old Luo, you can think of it that way. Marshal Mu clasped his hands behind his back and said indifferently. The people of the Mu family have not shown their talents for too long and have forgotten the prestige of the Mu family. Everyone dares to kill a member of the Mu family. Ningxu glanced at the balding dean and was a little surprised. Was this dirty and greasy dean going to stand up for her? Ningxu glanced at Mentor Wen. Ningxu nodded and gave Ningxu a reassuring look. Ningxu was baffled. Were the dean and Mentor Wen trying to offend Marshal Mu to protect her? Was the academy that protective of its students? No matter what the other party's motive was, he had to get through this hurdle first. Old Luo, you're not going against me for a commoner, are you? Marshal Mu's expression was a little ugly. Outside of this academy, you can do whatever you want. But in this academy, if you capture a student from my academy like this, our Summoner's Academy will lose face. We have to give face to each other, the balding old man said. Even Frost Dream saw that both Mentor Wen and the dean were protecting Yu Shuangshuang. She didn't know what was wrong with her bead, but there was no way for her to communicate with it. She also couldn't summon any more beasts. Dean, even if Yu Shuangshuang is a student of the academy, you still cannot shield a murderer. Yu Shuangshuang said, looking at Ningxu floating in the air. With Yu Shuangshuang's strength, it is possible for her to kill Mu Ziqi's elder sister. Yu Shuangshuang also said that Old Li wanted to kill Yu Shuangshuang, but she managed to escape. Yu Shuangshuang's heart was filled with resentment, and she wanted to retaliate against the Mu family's young miss. This is completely reasonable. Even Frost Dream was extremely disgusted now. She had lost control of her bead. Ningxu rolled his eyes. You lost to me and your heart is filled with resentment. You want to pin everything on me? Even Frost Dream. Can you be any worse? I already said that I didn't kill Miss Mu, so I didn't. Ningxu lightly said. If you insist on pinning this crime on me, then I can only fight to the death. Neither of us will have an easy time. Yu Shuangshuang, I never thought that you would be so cruel and merciless. You couldn't confess to me, so you resented my elder sister and killed her. Mu Ziqi's eyes were red with anger. Ningxu, you're crazy. Ningxu rubbed his forehead, feeling helpless. This person was the righteous one, and she was the villain. If you wanted to pin a crime on someone, you could always find a pretext. My eyes must have been covered with shit before. That's why I liked a pretty boy like you. Ningxu snorted disdainfully. Pa pa pa. Little grass swung its vines at the entangled guard. As Mu Ziqi heard this sound, his face darkened. As he recalled the scene of him being whipped, his entire body ached. Old Luo, are you really not going to back down? Marshal Mu calmly asked the balding old man. Old Mu, the dead cannot testify. No one knows how your granddaughter died. It's better to just let this matter go, the balding old man said. If we don't let it go, as long as she's in the academy today, you can't take her away. Marshal Mu sneered. It doesn't matter. We don't have to capture her. We can use her parents as punishment. Marshal Mu turned around and was about to fly away. Catch Mu Ziqi, Ningxu said to Little Grass. With lightning speed, Little Grass stretched out her vines and wrapped around Mu Ziqi, dragging him over. You. Marshal Mu's expression was furious. Let go of Ziqi. I can let go, but you have to use my parents in exchange. Ningxu stepped on Mu Ziqi's body. If my parents are hurt because of this, Muziki will also be hurt, Ningxu sternly said. Marshal Mu was someone who had been on the battlefield. How could he be scared by Ningxu? He calmly said, "Do you know what you are doing?" "I know. You are the Empire's marshal. You can kill my family, but I have a chance to escape. I can come back stronger to take revenge. As long as you can't kill me, I will make it so that you won't be able to eat or sleep in peace." Ningxu looked righteous on the surface, but in his heart, he was thinking about how to protect the Yu clan. In the storyline, the Yu clan had all died. Ningxu always felt that the storyline was trying to eliminate him. Now he was facing off against Marshal Mu. Marshal Mu was the pillar of the empire who had millions of soldiers. Marshal Mu sneered. No one had ever talked to him like this. "What do you dare to do to Ziki? You can't even leave the summoning academy." Marshal Mu narrowed his eyes and stared sharply at Ningxu. Ningxu shrugged indifferently. "Then I won't go out." Chapter 1034. My parents are lowly commoners. It's enough for the young master of the Mu family to be buried with them. Ningxu said aloud. In his mind he said to Xiaoqiao, "Whip him." Xiaoqiao raised her vines and slapped Muziki's body. Wherever the vines hit, there would be a hole in his clothes. Muziki gritted his teeth and endured it. He was too embarrassed to cry out. Why was it him again? Muziki couldn't count how many times it had been. In public and in front of his grandfather, he was in such a sorry state. His grandfather would be disappointed in him. He had ruined the reputation and pride of the Mu family. Muziki was furious. Yu Shuangxuang, this woman, was doing it on purpose. She resented him for rejecting her confession before, so she humiliated him again and again. Muziki wished he could dig a hole in the ground and clench his teeth to save his last bit of dignity. Marshal Mu's face was gloomy. He waved to his deputy general beside him. "Bring him over." The deputy general flew away on the griffin. "Stop," Ningxu said to Xiaoqiao. The whole place was silent as the two sides confronted each other. The dean approached Teacher 1. Teacher 1 took a step back and said gently, "Dean, you've just returned from your travels. You should go wash up. This girl's temper is too fierce. Is it really good for her to stay at the academy?" The dean touched his head and looked at Ningxu. "She's just a cornered dog. She doesn't even have the spirit to resist. How can she become a strong person?" There were too many setbacks on the road to becoming a strong person. Perseverance was everything. Blindly compromising wouldn't solve the problem. "Okay." The dean wiped his hands on his robe. Not long after, Yu Shuangxuang's parents were brought over. Both of them had wounds on their bodies. "Father, mother." The little bean shouted at his parents-in-law on the griffin. His cheeks were tightly clenched. The deputy general grabbed his parents-in-law and got off the griffin. When they landed, their faces were twisted in pain. Their feet were pierced by something and there were several nail-sized bloody holes. "Let them go now," Marshal Mu said. "Let my parents go first." Ningxu's face was cold. "Go." The deputy general kicked his parents-in-law, who were on the ground. The two elders' feet were injured, so it was difficult for them to walk. Xiaoqiao stretched out her vines to wrap around the two elders and pulled them to Ningxu's side. Ningxu let go of Muziki and kicked him, scram. Marshal Mu pulled Muziki onto the giant bird, glanced at Ningxu, and flew away. Ningxu let out a long sigh. "Thank you, Dean. Thank you, Mentor." Dean Ningxu and Mentor Wen thanked him. "There's a tutor's room in the school. You can settle your parents down first. I'll have something to discuss with you later," Tutor Wen said as he gave Ningxu 2 more bottles of potion. "Take this and give it to your parents." Ningxu took the medicine. He was so thoughtful. What did Instructor Wen want to do? Ningxu nodded and brought his injured parents-in-law to the academy's tutor's room. He fed his parents the medicine and prepared some food. He must not have had a good meal in prison. The family of 4 now lived in the academy. "Little Bean, take good care of your parents. I'll go find the tutor." Ningxu patted Little Bean's shoulder. Little Bean nodded heavily. "Sister, don't worry." Ningxu went to the dean's building and knocked on the door. "Come in." Ningxu opened the door and saw the dean and Mentor Wen inside. The dean finally wore a clean white robe today. But his hair was still oily and covered with a few strands of sparse hair. This was so wretched. Was this guy really the dean of the academy? Dean Mentor 1, Ning Shu said. Thank you again for stepping forward. Mentor 1 pointed at the chair. Sit. Oh, thank you. Ning Shu rolled his eyes. Could it be that he was interested in her breasts? I called you here to ask what fighting aura is. Mentor 1 asked. Ning Shu said, actually, it's a kind of martial arts technique. Don't talk to me about martial arts. I've said before that I know all the martial arts techniques in the world. There's no fighting aura like you're talking about. Mentor 1 looked at Ning Shu gently. Please tell me the truth. It's a kind of cultivation secret manual. Then do we know the specific content of this secret manual? Mentor 1 looked at Ning Shu. And the golden dragon you released, I can feel that it's not a living thing. That's the force formed by cultivating fighting aura, Ning Shu said. Yu Shuang, the academy can open a special fighting aura department. Can you give this secret manual to the students? Mentor 1 asked. Ning Shu looked at Mentor 1 and asked, why? Mentor 1 was asking for the secret manual in a roundabout way, but this method was easy to accept. Mentor 1 said, I study all the martial arts techniques in the world. I hope that summoners can grow strong like summon beasts and rely on summon beasts for protection. I hope that summoners can fight together with summon beasts. Your brother can be so strong without summon beasts. If summoners cultivate fighting aura, they will be even stronger. Open a department for fighting aura? Ning Shu straightened her back. Then am I a mentor? Of course. That's good. Ning Shu nodded in agreement, then asked hesitantly, what about the Mu family? As long as you're in the academy, Old Man Mu won't be able to hurt you. The old man promised Ning Shu. Then I can know the content of the secret manual. Mentor 1's voice was urgent. I want to see what this martial arts technique is like. Ning Shu stood up. Wait for me to go back and write the secret manual. I'll go with you. Mentor 1 also stood up. Ning Shu looked up and down at Mentor 1. You saved me for the secret manual? Yes. Thank you, Mentor. No matter what, the Summoning Academy had saved her. If it weren't for the presence of the Dean and Mentor 1, a big battle would have been inevitable. Moreover, she didn't know what her parents-in-law would be like now. Your secret manual concerns everyone, Mentor 1 said gently. Ning Shu wrote the secret manual and handed it to Mentor 1. Mentor 1 studied it carefully. When he encountered something he wasn't clear about, he would ask Ning Shu. Ning Shu watched from the side as Mentor 1 cultivated the ultimate martial arts technique. It didn't take long for Mentor 1 to sense the energy. It was faster than Ning Shu expected. Mentor 1 had a foundation in martial arts. However, ordinary martial arts tempered the body, while ultimate martial arts tempered the muscles and bones and perfected the body. It's indeed quite powerful. Mentor 1 withdrew the energy. In this case, you won't have to watch from the side in future battles. This was the drawback of summoners. With the help of summon beasts, the summoner's job was to constantly strengthen and nurture their summon beasts, but they neglected themselves. Of course. Ning Shu stretched. Can I go now? Prepare well. The Fighting Aura department is coming out soon. Chapter 1035. Teacher 1 wasn't the only one who started practicing the peerless martial arts. Even the balding old man had started practicing. The balding old man reached out his greasy hand and held Ning Shu's hand. Thank you, Teacher Yu. Ning Shu. Ning Shu pulled his hand back and saw that his hand was greasy. He said, Dean, you have to wash your hair frequently. The balding old man touched his head. I don't have much hair. It doesn't matter if I wash it or not. The Do-Chi department was soon released. The school allowed the students to practice the Do-Chi department at the same time. Ning Shu wore a teacher's robe and went to the classroom to take a look. There were only 2 students. One was a little bean and the other was an older student, De Yong. Ning Shu wasn't disappointed. Although the peerless martial arts were powerful, in the eyes of a respected summoner, it was still a mediocre martial art. Ning Shu wasn't in a hurry. There were still many days ahead. Anyway, she was now a teacher of the summoner's school. Her monthly salary was enough to support the Yu family. Now that the relationship with the Mu family was tense, Ningxu didn't plan on leaving the summoner's school. Ningxu would teach his brother and disciple. For a long time, Ningxu didn't have any new students. The Mu family had sent a message that anyone who went to the Doqi department would be listed as an enemy. The Doqi department was even more deserted. Don't worry, gold will always shine. The balding dean comforted Ningxu while reaching out his greasy hand to hold Ningxu's hand. Ningxu rolled his eyes and put his hand behind his back. Wretched old man. Dean, I'm not in a hurry. Ningxu wasn't in a hurry at all. With the protection of the summoner's school, he could still practice. Good attitude, not bad, not bad. Ningxu became a teacher and Mu Ziki dropped out of the summoner's school. With Mu Ziki's arrogant personality, how could he see Ningxu standing high above? Mu Ziki returned to his family and vowed to become strong and take revenge. Not only did Mu Ziki drop out, but Frost Dream also dropped out. Although she found the bead, she had no way to communicate with it or summon a powerful beast. The bead was now useless. However, for better or worse, Frost Dream was still a transmigrator. Her soul and mind could be considered formidable. By relying on the summoner's methods, she was able to summon a summon beast. However, the newly summoned beasts were not as powerful as the ones summoned by the beads. Furthermore, he could summon multiple beasts at once. But now, she only had one summoned beast. Even Frost Dream found this hard to accept, unable to accept such a disparity. Lien Frost Dream had always been proud of the strength of her summoned beasts. But now, she was no different from an ordinary summoner. She had no advantage at all. Even Frost Dream regretted releasing the bead. This sort of hidden card was something that she would rather die than release. In truth, Frost Dream also had a powerful summon beast, the White Tiger. The White Tiger was summoned to this world, and without the pearl, he could not return. But the White Tiger simply wasn't under Lien Frost Dream's control. This caused her to be on edge. The White Tiger's goal was to obtain the bead. Frost Dream had tricked the White Tiger into coming here, and then used the bead to send the White Tiger away. Now that this scourge was by his side, he would see a white-haired White Tiger every day when he woke up. If she could still communicate with the bead, she would absolutely send the White Tiger away. Even Frost Dream regretted summoning the White Tiger and taking out the bead. Frost Dream felt extremely uncomfortable. She had fallen from the highest and most revered position in the world. Not everyone could withstand falling from such a high pedestal. There were far too many people who were unable to recover from such a setback. Frost Dream loathed her summoned beasts. She had even deliberately killed them in order to summon another powerful summoned beast. She had summoned dragons, phoenixes, white tigers, and all sorts of other powerful summoned beasts. As for the weaker summoned beasts, Frost Dream didn't even care about them. Even a summoned beast like the meat winged dragon would be fine. Frost Dream had summoned a new summoned beast. That could be considered acceptable, but Frost Dream didn't care about it. Moreover, this summoned beast wasn't smart at all. It was as different as the heavens and earth from her previous summoned beasts. Everyone else focused on raising their summoned beasts and accompanying them as they grew stronger. But Frost Dream's starting point was far too high. She didn't have the patience to raise a summoned beast step by step. The mercenary team that she had formed also disbanded. Like this, the team that would shake the entire continent was disbanded. Frost Dream had personally disbanded the team. She was originally the leader of the team, but now she didn't have the ability to summon a powerful summoned beast. She didn't have the ability to summon multiple powerful summoned beasts. Rather than being questioned and humiliated by others, she might as well disband the team herself. The higher her starting point was, the more awkward Frost Dream's current situation was, and the more uncomfortable Frost Dream felt. What Frost Dream couldn't stand the most was that the weak Yushuangshuang that she had needed to protect had become powerful, and had even become an instructor of the academy. Without the bead, it was impossible for her to catch up to Yushuangshuang. Powerlessness and irritation filled Frost Dream's heart. Frost Dream even ran to the academy and cursed Ningxu for being a traitor who had betrayed their friendship. Ningxu had little grass wrap around Frost Dream, and then toss her out of the academy. What was this about friendship? When Frost Dream spoke, she didn't feel any guilt at all. as if she were the victim. She didn't have the mood or the time to speak such meaningless words to Frost Dream. Ningxu was currently focusing on training his little brother. It was almost time for the academy competition, and this time the Battle Chi department would have to participate. De Yong was a middle-aged man. How could he possibly participate in such a competition? Moreover, De Yong spent most of his time doing mercenary missions. Ningxu was counting on the Little Bean to make the Battle Chi department famous. The Little Bean's energy had already begun to form, but he didn't know what kind of energy the Little Bean would form. Ningxu stayed by the Little Bean's side, watching him cultivate. The Little Bean opened his eyes and Ningxu quickly asked, "What kind of energy did you form?" The Little Bean's expression was a bit strange as he released his own energy. The energy was in the shape of a mermaid, and the mermaid held a trident in her hand. However, Little Bean's chi gene was very unstable, so it dissipated in an instant. Not bad. Ningxu patted the Little Bean's shoulder. "Big sister, what is this? Why isn't it a dragon?" The Little Bean was quite envious of Ningxu's golden dragon. "Compared to Big sister, yours is stronger." Ningxu said, "It's a bit like a thunder naga." The highest level of battle chi is to give life to the energy. Ningxu could already feel that this energy could create a life. Even now, Ningxu hadn't been able to bring her dragon back to life and give it intelligence. It was only developing in that direction. Can it be like a summoned beast? The Little Bean excitedly grabbed Lin Ming's hand. Maybe it can form a creature," Ningxu said. Chapter 1036. Ningxu hoped that the Little Bean could make the Douqi department flourish. That way, there would be more people practicing martial arts, and she would have more believers. When it was time for the school competition, Ningxu comforted the nervous Little Bean. "Don't be nervous. You're stronger than them." Ningxu sat in the teacher's seat in a white robe. "There are only 2 students and they still want to participate in the competition?" Teacher Wen asked Ningxu gently. Ningxu waved his finger. No, there's only 1 student." "Relying on the Little Bean?" Teacher Wen couldn't help but laugh. "Relying on the Little Bean to challenge everyone." Ningxu raised his chin slightly. "Of course. Let's make a bet. If my brother enters the top 50, I'll take 2 scales from your golden dragon. How about that?" Ningxu said to Teacher Wen. Xiao Chao had been sleeping for a while after absorbing the nirvana flame of the phoenix. When she woke up, she was much stronger. She stretched out countless vines and covered the entire school. Her intelligence also increased a lot. Xiao Chao coveted the attributes of her teacher's summoned beast, the golden dragon. The golden dragon was a metal-type summoned beast, and had a strong destructive power. "Of course I don't dare to underestimate Douqi. You can't bet on things like scales," Teacher Wen said lightly. Ningxu pouted, boring. Xiao Chao floated around Ningxu and chattered. Ningxu said, "He's so stingy. It's his summoned beast after all. It's normal not to bet." Ningxu didn't care. "Does your golden dragon shed its skin?" Ningxu asked Teacher Wen again. Teacher Wen stared at the battle on the stage and said gently, "My dragon is a dragon, not a snake. It doesn't shed its skin." Ningxu didn't ask anymore and stared at the situation on the stage. It was time for the Little Bean to go on stage. Next, Yujun against Zhou Tian. Little Bean entered the arena in his martial attire. He had a serious smile on his face as he looked at Ningxu. Ningxu smiled and nodded at Little Bean. The match began. Little Bean clenched his fists and started fighting with his opponent's summoned beast. Sigh, if the summoner had cultivated battle aura, the chances of winning would be much higher in a 2-on-1. Instructor Wen couldn't help but sigh when he saw the summoner watching the battle from the side. Summoners look down on people who practice martial arts. This concept was deeply ingrained and wasn't easy to change. Little Bean didn't even release his chi and defeated his opponent's summoned beast with his own fists and kicks. "You Juncheng." A smile emerged on Ningxu's face. "Awesome." Ningxu high-fived Little Bean. "Very good." Teacher Wen praised the Little Bean. In the next few matches, Little Bean played steadily. Ningxu asked, "What level are you at now?" "I have to form the chi form you mentioned." Teacher Wen clenched his fists and felt the restless power in his body. Ningxu laughed proudly. Little Bean has already formed the Qi form. Cultivation doesn't mean that you're good at it just because you're older. That's true. Teacher Wen nodded in agreement. Ningxu asked again, your golden dragon never shed scales? Teacher Wen glanced at Ningxu. At least I've never seen it. Tsk. Ningxu shook his head. What's the difference between this and a person who doesn't shed leg hair? Your golden dragon is unhealthy. Teacher Wen. Little Bean defeated his opponent and advanced to the top 200. The day's matches were over. At this moment, someone jumped onto the arena and shouted, You Shuang, accept my challenge if you have the ability. Ningxu stared at Muziki silently. Why did he come over to challenge her for no reason? Muziki, aren't you a student of the academy? Why did you come over to challenge me? Did you eat too much? Ningxu angrily said. Muziki stood on the arena stage and looked down at Ningxu. Do you not dare to accept my challenge? Ningxu understood Muziki's thoughts. He wanted to wash away his shame. But what surprised Ningxu was that Lian Frostdream came with Muziki. Were the two of them together? Lian Bingmeng, on seeing Ningxu looking at her, took a deep breath and said, I came here to ask you for something. Something? What do I owe you? Ningxu was puzzled. You took my bead. Please return it to me. Lian Frostdream lifted her chin, raising her aura so that she wouldn't appear weak in front of Ningxu. There's something wrong with your head. Didn't I return that damned bead to you? Now you're asking me for a bead? Lian Frostdream. Is there something wrong with your head? Ningxu said. Lian Frostdream's face paled. In front of so many people, she felt embarrassed to be called crazy. She was the proud mercenary queen. If this was before she had transmigrated, she would have already shot her to death. If she had been able to summon a powerful summon beast, she would have had her phoenix burn her to ashes. But now, she understood that she wasn't his match. What you gave me was a fake. You took the real one. Lian Frostdream had only casually said this, but she didn't think that she would be telling the truth. Ningxu sneered. I've never seen your bead before. You're on stage right now, so what time do I have to fake it? If you want to slander someone, you need to find a good reason. Be careful, or I won't be polite to you. You Shuang, do you dare to accept my challenge? Muziki and Ningxu shouted from the stage. Ningxu rolled his eyes and said to Little Grass, Beat him up. Muziki immediately released his summon beast. His Luanfeng had grown a great deal. It spread its wings and flew into the air. Little Grass stretched out its vines and the Luanfeng spat fire at Little Grass. But Little Grass had absorbed the energy of the Nirvana flames, and was even able to withstand the flames of the phoenix. The Luanfeng's fire simply couldn't do anything to it. The Luanfeng dodged the vines, but there were vines everywhere and it was quickly entangled. Muziki, who was on the Luanfeng's back, was pulled off the bird's back. Xiao Qiao raised her vines and whipped Muziki's body. Muziki's complexion was ugly. He had already done his best to raise his summon beast. He thought that it was already very strong, but the result was still like this. Lian Frostdream stared at Muziki in a daze. Why was you Shuang so strong? That's enough. Ningxu stopped Little Grass. He looked at the wounded Muziki. Muziki glared at Ningxu with hatred and disgust. Ningxu had never cared about such powerless and resentful eyes. Ningxu had Little Grass take Muziki and Lian Frostdream and bring them to the Mu family courtyard. He had been enduring it all this time, but now that Muziki had come to provoke him, he had finally found a reason. Ningxu floated in the air above the Mu family courtyard. The Mu family courtyard was very large. Little Grass tossed the two people inside. Directly bind them. Ningxu lightly said. Yes. Little Grass stretched out endless vines. Chapter 1037. Xiao Qiao floated in the air above the Mu residence and extended countless vines, covering the entire Mu residence. The vines extended into the rooms. The tables, chairs, all kinds of expensive porcelain, paintings in the room were all destroyed. The entire Mu residence was entangled by the vines. As long as Xiao Qiao exerted some force, the entire Mu residence would be uprooted. Ah! Ah! The Mu residence's screams rose and fell. You Shuang, What do you mean by this? I didn't go to find you, but you came to find me and even destroyed the Mu residence. Don't go too far. Marshal Mu stood on the back of the bird, the giant bird's wings flapping. The griffin team followed behind Marshal Mu, eyeing Ningxu covetously. Xiao Qiao retracted the vines, but when she retracted it, she accidentally broke one of the pillars. It was a mistake. I won't do it again, Xiao Qiao hurriedly said. I still can't control every vine accurately. Train well, Ningxu said. Ningxu looked at Marshal Mu and said indifferently, it was your grandson who provoked me first. At that time, you guys messed up the Yu residence. Now it's just an eye for an eye. With power, he would have the ability to take revenge. Marshal Mu's face was cold. Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because the Summoners Academy is protecting you. This is not a place where you can do whatever you want. To be honest, I'm not afraid of you. If I can't stay in this country, I can go somewhere else. The world is so big, there will be a place for me to stay. Ningxu shrugged indifferently. The Summoners Academy didn't belong to the country, so Marshal Mu couldn't control it. Are you sure that I can't do anything to you? Mu Yuan stared at Ningxu. Ningxu laughed. Marshal Mu, I respect you as an elder, but you have to show the demeanor of an elder. How your granddaughter died only God knows. But if you insist on putting the murder charge on me, don't blame me for resisting. Maybe next time, the Mu residence will no longer exist. Ningxu turned around and walked in the air, slowly leaving. No one came out to stop Ningxu. They just watched as Ningxu slowly walked away. A gentle breeze blew at the corners of his robe. Marshal! The deputy general shouted at Marshal Mu. Are we letting her go just like that? Marshal Mu rubbed his forehead. Let's do this for now. The martial skill that Yu Shuangshuang cultivates is what the emperor wants. This Douqi martial skill allowed ordinary people to have a stronger fighting strength. If soldiers were to cultivate it, it would definitely increase their fighting strength. Ningxu returned to the school and saw Little Bean waiting for her at the entrance. When the little boy saw Ningxu, he let out a sigh of relief and shouted, Sister. Ningxu held Little Bean's hand and walked into the school. Sister is fine. Sister, Little Bean will definitely protect Sister in the future. Little Bean patted his chest with his small hands. Ningxu smiled. In the future, I'll rely on you to protect me. Little girl. Why are you so impulsive? The dean of the Mediterranean school said to Ningxu in a bad mood. Ningxu said indifferently, I'm not weak now. I don't have to endure it. Otherwise, anyone can challenge me in the future. I'll be busy to death. I'm a teacher of the Summoners Academy. It's too embarrassing for the academy to be challenged by some random people. The dean nodded and then said, in the future, think twice before you do anything. You're a teacher of the Summoners Academy. Be careful of your image. Oh, Ningxu replied. This little episode didn't affect the progress of the competition. Ningxu accompanied Little Bean to compete every day. Little Bean successfully entered the top 100. Top 50. During the finals, Little Bean released his chi form. His Thunder Naga was already very solid. Teacher Wen saw Little Bean's chi and was stunned. I didn't expect his chi to be so strong. Of course he's my little brother, Ningxu said proudly, feeling proud. Little Bean finally stopped in the top 5. He didn't get first place. Little Bean was young. His chi wasn't like Ningxu's, which had already turned golden. Ningxu was quite happy. Little Bean was small, so he definitely couldn't be underestimated. Little Bean was a little disappointed. Ningxu didn't comfort him. Only with setbacks could one grow. After the competition, Ningxu's Battle Energy Academy finally had a new student. Ningxu didn't expect that there would be a prince from the Empire. This prince was young, about the same age as Little Bean. The Empire sent the prince to learn. This was a signal. Her grudge with Marshal Mu wouldn't make her go against the Empire. She didn't rule out the possibility that the Empire wanted the Battle Energy Secret Manual. Ningxu accepted the little prince and taught him her peerless martial arts. The secret manual wasn't the most important thing. It was the cultivation stage. She accidentally activated the advanced cultivation of the ultimate martial arts. And there was no need to make enemies. Ningxu didn't think he was strong enough to go against the Empire. This world was full of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Ningxu taught these students. When he was free, he took these students to the fallen mountain range to gain experience. Every student had a flower in their pocket. With Xiao Chao's flower, Xiao Chao could sense the student's location. This time, her goal in the fallen mountain range was to find the spirit marrow crystal under the icy blue waves lake. Ningxu took a group of students to the edge of the icy blue waves lake. He let the students cultivate by the lake because the spiritual qi here was quite abundant. Master, let me absorb. Xiao Chao was unusually restless. Go. Ningxu nodded. Xiao Chao immediately flew to the icy blue waves lake and took root at the bottom of the lake. She absorbed the spiritual qi crazily. Thick white smoke rose from the lake. Rows of students sat by the lake and tried to absorb the spiritual qi, but they couldn't absorb the overflowing spiritual qi. Ningxu also sat down cross-legged and used the ultimate martial arts to absorb the spiritual qi crazily. While Xiao Chao was absorbing the spiritual energy, dark clouds had unexpectedly floated over from the horizon and were coming over from this direction. Ningxu stopped cultivating and was very surprised. Is this the divine punishment? Plants would be punished by the divine punishment when they became spirits. The divine punishment was a heavenly tribulation. After passing it, one could become a human. Xiao Chao was going to become a human? Master. Xiao Chao's voice trembled as she shouted to Ningxu. Don't be afraid. This is the heavenly tribulation. As long as you pass it, you can become a human. Ningxu comforted Xiao Chao softly and quickly took the group of students away. The divine punishment wasn't something that humans could withstand. Ningxu sent the students out of the fallen mountain range and asked Little Bean to take good care of them. Then he rushed back to the icy blue waves lake. The entire icy blue waves lake was filled with Xiao Chao's waving vines. Low dark clouds covered the sky above Xiao Chao. Boom! Lightning struck Xiao Chao's body, and Xiao Chao's vines were immediately destroyed. Ningxu heard Xiao Chao's painful moans. She didn't have any other choice. She couldn't rush up rashly. If that happened, it would be the divine punishment for both of them. Boom boom. The thunder was rapid and one after another struck Xiao Chao's body. Chapter 1038. Ningxu watched from the side and was extremely anxious. He didn't dare to ask Xiao Chao how she was doing for fear of distracting her attention. The lightning struck Xiao Cao's body and smoke rose from it. He didn't know when the heavenly punishment would end. Ningxu didn't dare to cultivate as he was afraid that the spiritual energy fluctuations would cause the heavenly punishment to change. Ningxu's ears were ringing from the sound of the thunder. The lightning tribulation finally weakened, and the dark clouds finally dispersed. Xiao Chao immediately floated to Ningxu's side and cried, "You scared me to death, wah wah wah." Ningxu heaved a sigh of relief. "You scared me to death too." Ningxu looked at the dark clouds that were slowly drifting away and suddenly had an idea. He mobilized the spiritual energy water dragon in his dantian. He had it chase after the lightning tribulation. The golden dragon didn't want to go, but it was sent below the tribulation clouds by Ningxu. The dark tribulation clouds seemed to have been provoked by the golden dragon and directly struck out a bolt of lightning, turning the golden dragon into water droplets. Then the tribulation clouds proudly walked away. The golden water droplets gradually condensed into a water dragon and rushed into Ningxu's dantian, as if it was fleeing for its life. It sank into the spiritual energy lake in his dantian and didn't come out. Ningxu. What a coward! Ningxu asked Xiao Chao. How do you feel after surviving the heavenly punishment? I feel a lot more powerful. Xiao Chao spun around and finally transformed into a little loli who was about 4 or 5 years old. She was wearing a tube-top dress made of fresh flowers, and her 2 white and tender arms were exposed. Her hair was loose and her face was so tender that water could be squeezed out of it. Ningxu wasn't a lolicon, but when he saw Xiao Chao, his heart began to stir. She was so cute and beautiful. Ningxu reached out and pinched Xiao Cao's face. Oh my god. She was so comfortable. Ningxu said with a serious expression, "Congratulations, you can transform into a human now." "Thank you, master." Xiao Xiao hugged Ningshu's leg and raised her head to look at Ningshu. Oh my, this gaze was enough to melt her heart. Xiao Xiao was barefoot, and there was a flower-shaped anklet on her ankle. As she walked, it made a crisp sound. Ningshu reached out his hand, lifted Xiao Xiao's hair, and tied it up with a hair tie. Xiao Xiao touched her hair, and raised her head. Ningshu smiled sweetly, revealing his pure white teeth. Thank you, master. Ningshu also smiled. The harvest this time was very good. She suddenly felt that Xiao Xiao was like her own daughter. Her mission had progressed to this point, and she was afraid that she would soon leave this world. Ningshu took Xiao Xiao to find the little bean and prepared to go back to school. When the little bean saw Xiao Xiao, he froze for a moment and his face flushed red. He lowered his head and shyly asked, "Older sister, who is this?" "Xiao Xiao." Little Bean asked again as if he didn't hear clearly. "Who?" "Xiao Xiao." Little Bean. No, he wasn't. He was so cute that he couldn't be alone. Ningshu led the group of students back to school. Xiao Xiao had also begun to practice her peerless martial arts. To be honest, Xiao Xiao was already very strong, so it didn't matter if she practiced her peerless martial arts or not. But since she wanted to practice, Ningshu didn't say anything. In Fallen City, Ningshu met Lien Frostdream. Lien Frostdream was with some mercenaries. When Lien Frostdream saw Ningshu, she immediately lowered her head. The difference between her and Yu Shuangshuang was like the difference between heaven and earth. Lien Frostdream didn't know if she could defeat Yu Shuangshuang in this life, unless she could obtain some heaven-defying treasure, like that bead. But heaven-defying treasures weren't easy to obtain. If one could obtain one, one's destiny would soar to the heavens. If one wanted to obtain another, where would there be so many heaven-defying treasures waiting for them? Lien Frostdream wasn't willing to accept this. She was a transmigrator, so how could she live in such a sorry state? The once incomparably powerful bead was now useless. When Ningshu saw Lien Frostdream, he lightly shifted his gaze and walked away with his students. Lien Frostdream was afraid that Ningshu would notice her, but he really didn't care about her. Lien Frostdream felt humiliated, as if she had been looked down upon. She had suffered bitterly, and hated him to the point of bleeding, but he simply didn't care. This sort of contempt was even more painful than being humiliated. Without the mysterious bead, Lien Frostdream was just an ordinary summoner. She couldn't summon many summons, and she couldn't summon summons that were stronger than the last. In the next school competition, the Battle Chi department finally had someone that could compete. They didn't need to rely on this little bean anymore. The Battle Chi department was flourishing with each passing day, and Xiao Xiao had become a new pet. When the students heard that Xiao Xiao was a summoned beast, they would come to see Xiao Xiao. Every time Teacher Wen came to the Battle Chi department, he would bring a gift for Xiao Xiao. Teacher Wen asked Ningshu how Xiao Xiao had transformed into her human form. Ningshu said that she had experienced heavenly tribulation. Ningshu recorded the cultivation method of the peerless martial arts and placed it in the Battle Chi department. Many students of the plant department also came to ask Ningshu how to raise a summoned beast. Ningshu recorded the method of raising Xiao Xiao, absorbing spiritual energy, magic crystals, and meat of magical beasts. Plants had the most powerful absorption ability, and the more energy they had, the better. Ningshu also wrote down the recipe for the wisdom pill, and taught the little bean how to refine it. Ningshu's days were now very fulfilling, and he had endless things to do every day. After experiencing the baptism of the heavenly tribulation, the golden dragon seemed even more agile. When it swam in the lake of spiritual energy in his dantian, it was just like a real dragon. Ningshu was sitting cross-legged in cultivation when 2333's voice sounded in his head. Mission completed. Do you wish to leave the mission world? Xiao Xiao had already gone out to play with a group of students. He wouldn't be able to see her for the last time. Forget it, he might as well leave like this. Ningshu nodded. Let's go. Xiao Xiao was catching fish in a river outside the school, when she suddenly froze. She threw away the branch in her hand and ran into the school. Xiao Xiao, where are you going? The little bean ran behind Xiao Xiao and shouted, Wait for me, don't run too fast. Ningshu felt dizzy and returned to the system space. He slumped on the sofa and asked 2333. Is your data done? No. 2333 said. I need to control the restless spirit orb. Otherwise, your soul will be absorbed by the spirit orb when you return to the system space. The spirit orb attacked indiscriminately. As long as it was a soul, it would absorb it. Ningxu was now a soul and never dared to touch the spirit orb. It's still restless? What are you going to do with the orb? The spirit orb wants to fuse with the orb now. 2333 asked. If it wants to fuse with it, then let it fuse with it. Ningxu said. Are you willing? 2333 asked. This orb can break any plane's barrier. It could ignore any plane's rules. Then what should I do? The spirit orb has already gone crazy. If I give it, it's just a orb. Ningxu said. He didn't know what would happen if the spirit orb fused with the orb. Chapter 1039. Ningxu opened his status panel and looked at his harvests. Number 2333 name. Ningxu high-level mission enforcer. Age 27 points. 241. 5 million/5 million soul. 320 life. 101 wisdom. 304 charm. 20 luck. 149 spiritual power. 200 faith. 7515500 martial value. 222 talent. 99 merit. 1291050 skills. 5th ring spear technique. Trash fighting technique, elementary peerless martial arts, elementary poison technique, elementary business management knowledge, elementary code programming, elementary lawyer skills, elementary ghost catching skills. Honorary titles, War God Empress selfless ancestor items. Calm Halo Faith Halo. Protective Charm 4, upgraded Protective Charm 2 Halo. Mother of the World, Empress Blessing. Model Worker Sister, Chun-Chi's Blessing. Leader Halo Grass Blessing. Lifelong Friend Meow Meow Meow's Blessing. Life-Saving Hand, Zhu Sisuniang's Blessing. Founding Female General, Chen Ermiai's Blessing. Lawful Beauty, Chen Ning's Blessing. Complete Liuyue Shuang's Wish. Become strong and defeat Lian Frost. Dream. Mission completion rate, 100%. Obtained 5 million points, 60 attribute points, 5,000 faith and 50 merit points. Ningxu looked at these stats, feeling satisfied. Moreover, he had obtained a bead. This could be considered an unexpected harvest. However, he still hadn't encountered the world source. Ningxu didn't know when he would encounter the world source. How could something like the world source be so difficult to obtain? Ningxu could only calm his heart. He didn't believe that he wouldn't encounter the world source in this lifetime. Ningxu distributed the 60 attribute points, deciding to put more points into luck. If his luck was good, he might be able to encounter the world source. Number 2333 name, Ningxu, high-level mission enforcer. Age 27 points, 271. 5 million soul, 320 life, 101 wisdom, 30410 charm, 20 luck, 14920 spiritual power, 20010 faith, 12515 martial value, 22210 talent, 9910 merit, 13410 skills. 5th ring shooting technique, trash fighting technique, beginner level peerless martial arts, beginner level poison technique, beginner level business management knowledge, beginner level code programming, beginner level lawyer skills, master ghost catching skills. Honorary titles, Goddess of War, selfless ancestor items. Calm Halo, Faith Halo, Amulet 4, upgraded Amulet 2. Halo, Mother of the World, Queen's Blessing, Sister Model Worker, Chen-Chi's Blessing. Leader Halo Chao's Blessing, Best Friend for a Lifetime, Meow Meow Meow's Blessing. Savior, Zhu Sunyang's Blessing. Founding Female General, Chen Ermiai's Blessing. Lawful Beauty, Chen Ning's Blessing. After adding the attribute points, Ningxu began to absorb the soul force in the system space to cultivate his soul. When it was about time, Ningxu opened his eyes, intending to check on Yu Shuang's situation. Ningxu, I need to send you away now. The two orbs have already formed a black hole. 2333's voice suddenly rang out. His voice was filled with anxiety. Ningxu was speechless. Where are you sending me? Ningxu asked. In the quest world. 2333 quickly replied. But I haven't seen the client yet. What the hell are you looking at? The system space is already unstable. Just look at the next client's quest. I'll send you away. 2333 said angrily, almost gnashing his teeth. Ningshu felt that the system space was trembling a little. Ningshu felt that his whole body was not good. He saw that a black hole had appeared above the system space, sucking in the system space's items. Ningshu took out the ultimate martial arts book from the bookshelf. This thing could not be swallowed by the black hole. Ningshu opened the system's storage cabinet and put the items inside. Send me away, Ning Shuchao said to 2333. She could feel a strong suction force pulling her soul towards the black hole. I'll send you away now. As soon as 2333's voice fell, Ningshu suddenly felt that her soul was extremely uncomfortable. It felt like someone had flipped her over and spun her around in the air. It was too rough. Ningshu's soul was attached to a body. It took a long time for her soul to fuse with it. Even after fusing with the body, Ningshu was extremely dizzy and vomited. Wenhanleiyu. A voice with anger sounded in Ningshu's ears. It was very magnetic. Ningshu heard this voice. Her body trembled, and she opened her eyes dizzily. What she saw was a handsome face. It was a tall figure. Ningshu had to raise her chin to see his face. He was wearing a well-ironed suit. But now there was a puddle of vomit on his chest. It was emitting the smell of vomit. The man grabbed Ningshu's arm with both hands. His grip was very tight. It was very painful. Ningshu's head was still a little dizzy. Ningshu said, "Let go of me." Ningshu opened his mouth, and the smell of vomit hit the man's face. The man immediately let go of Ningshu's arm. Without support, Ningshu sat on the ground with a plop. He silently chanted the clear heart mantra to relieve the discomfort. "Uncle, let me help you wipe it." A girl about 15 or 16 years old took out a tissue and wiped the vomit on the man's body. The man frowned tightly. Ningshu said, "Wenhanlei, what are you doing? You suspect that I have other women by my side. Now you're even jealous of Bai Feifei. If you marry me, you'll be Bai Feifei's stepmother." Ningshu was supporting himself with his arm, but when the man said that, Ningshu's arm trembled, and he almost fell flat on his face. Ningshu turned his head and looked at the man in a daze. The man was about 20 years old, at most 30 years old. But the girl beside him was 16 years old. How did he have such an old daughter? Ningshu counted with his fingers in his heart. This man had a daughter at 14 years old. Stop lying. Ningshu didn't feel too good. She hadn't accepted the plot yet, so she didn't know what was going on. Ningshu supported herself on the sofa and was about to stand up when Bai Feifei reached out to help Ningshu. "Auntie Wen, you've really misunderstood me and uncle. Get me a glass of water. I'm thirsty," Ningshu said as she sat on the sofa. The dizziness was too uncomfortable. She did not know how 2333 was doing. 2 beads could create such a commotion. Hearing Ningshu's instructions, Bai Feifei looked at the man first. The man nodded. "Get her some water. I'll go upstairs to take a shower." Yes. Bai Feifei took some ice water from the fridge and poured it into a glass. She then brought it to Ningshu. Ningshu rinsed her mouth with the ice water and felt her mind clear up. She planned to accept the plot. Chapter 1040. Ningshu leaned against the sofa, ignoring Bai Feifei who was sitting beside him. He closed his eyes and began to accept the plot. The original owner was called Wenhanlei. She was a rich young lady. Her father owned a chain of shopping malls. The man who had been vomited on was Wenhanlei's fiancé, Tang Yu. The Tang family was a wealthy family and had more resources than the Wen family. Wenhanlei's engagement with Tang Yu was considered a social climb. The main reason was that the Tang family had their eyes on the Wen family's sales channels. A marriage alliance was the best way to cooperate. The Wen family was also willing to climb up to the Tang family. Tang Yu himself was also a very capable man. He was handsome and was simply a rich husband that women yearned for even in their dreams. Wenhanlei was quite satisfied to be engaged to Tang Yu. Being engaged to Tang Yu would raise Wenhanlei's status among her siblings in the Wen family. Wenhanlei made marrying Tang Yu her life goal. She learned piano, flower arrangement, and etiquette. She wanted to make herself the perfect Mrs. Tang. Tang Yu was a cold person and did not care much about his life partner. At his level, it was the same no matter who he married. When Hanlei's heart was filled with Tang Yu. As time passed, she loved Tang Yu even more. Because she cared, she appeared to be worried about her gains and losses. Even Tang Yu's female secretary, when Hanlei, was sensitive. Half a year ago, Tang Yu suddenly had a half-grown daughter by Fei Fei. Tang Yu was a cold and scheming person. He took a fancy to Bai Feifei's father's clothing brand. Clothing brands like this required a long time to accumulate. Bai Feifei's father's clothing brand had a good reputation and was considered a high-end brand. He secretly did something and emptied the Bai family's company, forcing Bai Feifei's father to jump down from his office building. Bai Feifei's mother went missing after her father's accident. Bai Feifei was the only child. With the help of her relatives, she buried her father. However, these relatives did not have good intentions. They tried every means to get money from Bai Feifei, using all kinds of coercion and bribery. Bai Feifei squatted in a corner and curled into a ball. She looked at these people arguing until their faces turned red. In order to get money and raise her, they could say all kinds of nasty things. At this moment, Tang Yu, who was dressed in a suit and leather shoes, appeared in front of Bai Feifei. He stretched out his slender and fair hand. Tang Yu claimed that he was a friend of Bai Feifei's father. Now that he was in charge of taking care of Bai Feifei, Tang Yu naturally became Bai Feifei's guardian. Instead, he was her adoptive father and adoptive daughter. After becoming Bai Feifei's guardian, Tang Yu also took over the brand that Bai Feifei had inherited. Tang Yu did not treat Bai Feifei very well, but after experiencing the changes in her family, Bai Feifei felt very insecure and was very dependent on Tang Yu. Thunder wanted to burrow into Tang Yu's blanket. "Daddy, I'm scared. Daddy, there are no sanitary pads at home. Daddy, are you coming home tonight? Daddy, Daddy." Tang Yu was a single man. Although he had a fiancée, he wasn't married yet. It was strange for him to suddenly become a father. Bai Feifei was a very obedient and sensible child. She would always think of ways to please Tang Yu, afraid that Tang Yu would abandon her. She was such a young and charming girl. Tang Yu was a hot-blooded man. Cough. Tang Yu was a man with strong self-control. He scrupulously abided by his duties. Bai Feifei, on the other hand, was at the age when a young girl yearned for love. She had indescribable feelings for the uncle who had saved her from danger. He always did things that went beyond the boundaries of father and daughter. She clumsily tried to please Tang Yu. After cooking, she waited for Tang Yu to come back. When Tang Yu came back in the middle of the night, he could always see Bai Feifei sleeping on the sofa. Then he helplessly carried Bai Feifei back to the bedroom. Under Bai Feifei's attacks, Tang Yu was finally won over by Bai Feifei. He fell in love with Bai Feifei. At this time, Bai Feifei's mother appeared again. Tang Yu was afraid that Bai Feifei would find out the truth and leave him, causing Bai Feifei's mother to get into a car accident. In the end, Bai Feifei still found out the truth. She couldn't accept it. She broke down. She ran away. Tang Yu locked Bai Feifei up. "You have my heart, but you still want to run away. Even if I don't break your legs, I will imprison you." All kinds of physical and mental torture, all kinds of entanglements, all kinds of breakups and reunions, all kinds of desperate love, happily together. Ning Shu's little man hammered the ground and laughed loudly in his heart. 233, 3333. Damn, it was this again. Ning Shu was really fed up with these kinds of people who challenged human relations and sought thrills. They were adoptive parents and adoptive daughters. From what Ning Shu knew of the law, only a couple or a man above the age of 40 could adopt a child. Why did Tang Yu, a man in his prime, adopt a child? If he had known beforehand that this was the mission, Ning Shu wouldn't have taken it. He didn't have the patience to do this kind of mission. He was most annoyed by these kinds of people who said, "The male lead abused me thousands of times, but I treated him like my first love. My skills in bed are passable. Blood feud is nothing." When Hanlei was a cannon fodder female supporting character. Although she was Tang Yu's fiancée, Tang Yu's heart was never with her. When the two of them ate alone, as long as Bai Feifei called, Tang Yu would abandon when Hanlei and leave. Of course, Wen Hanlei would be jealous and target Bai Feifei. Tang Yu didn't have any feelings for Wen Hanlei. In Tang Yu's eyes, Wen Hanlei's actions were unreasonable and causing trouble. Naturally, he was biased towards Bai Feifei. In order to avoid his strange feelings for Bai Feifei, Tang Yu agreed to marry Wen Hanlei. In the end, at the wedding, Tang Yu found out that Bai Feifei had run away from home and went abroad, never to return. Tang Yu instantly understood his feelings for Bai Feifei and abandoned Wen Hanlei to run away. In a luxurious wedding, only the bride was left. After the event, she apologized to Tang Yu and Wen Hanlei, saying that she had found her true love and wished them happiness. It was bad enough that she was abandoned, but she still had to provoke her by saying that she had found her true love. This feeling was simply indescribable. Because of this, Wen Hanlei was mocked by her siblings at home. Recently, her father had married her off to a playboy. Wen Hanlei was indignant. What did she do wrong? Why was she treated like this? The two bitches hooked up and made her unable to raise her head. Her husband didn't treat her well either, saying that she was a broken shoe that Tang Yu didn't want. Entertainment magazines were full of scenes of Tang Yu and Bai Feifei showing off their love. When Bai Feifei was 18 years old, Tang Yu proposed to Bai Feifei. The two of them were truly in love. When Wen Hanlei saw the media report on Tang Yu and Bai Feifei's relationship, and how they received everyone's envy and blessings, Wen Hanlei felt as if 10,000 insects were gnawing on her heart. Wen Hanlei's wish was to ruin their reputations. Ning Shu was speechless. Ruin their reputations? Ning Shu felt that Bai Feifei was quite impressive to be able to conquer the hard-hearted Tang Yu. One had to know that Tang Yu had caused the death of Bai Feifei's father, but he still fell in love with Bai Feifei in the end. Chapter 1041. After Ning Shu accepted the plot, he opened his eyes and looked at Bai Feifei silently. Bai Feifei was very pretty, especially at such a young age. Her skin was very tender and fair. She was full of youthfulness. Bai Feifei, who was being stared at by Ning Shu, tugged at the corner of her clothes in embarrassment and asked, "Auntie Wen, how are you?" Ning Shu said lightly, "Call me sister. Why are you calling me auntie?" Bai Feifei was stunned and speechless. She said softly, "Your uncle's fiancée. How can I call you sister? I don't object to Tang Yu adopting you, but you're a big girl now. You have to be mindful of your image. In ancient times, many girls your age have already become mothers." Ning Shu smiled at Bai Feifei. "You're Tang Yu's daughter, and Tang Yu is your father. When I marry your father, you'll be my daughter. But you're not biological father and daughter, so you have to keep your distance." How could they sleep on the same bed when it was raining? Later on, whenever it was raining, Tang Yu would take the initiative to go to Bai Feifei's bed to comfort her. What was there to be afraid of? Even if nothing happened, this man and woman lying on the bed was very ambiguous. The atmosphere was charming and stirring. Bai Feifei hurriedly waved her hands and said, "Auntie Wen, there's really nothing between me and Uncle. Uncle is my elder, and I love and respect him. It's not what you think." Ning Shu stared at Bai Feifei disapproving. There was clearly something going on between them. Bai Feifei's actions were to please Tang Yu. After knowing that her parents were killed by Tang Yu, she decided to forgive Tang Yu after a slight struggle. Damn it, couldn't she be more firm in her stance? If she wanted to leave, she should have just left. Ning Shu reached out and patted Bai Feifei's shoulder. "If there's a chance, let's cultivate a mother-daughter relationship." Tang Yu came down after a shower. He was wearing casual clothes and had the fragrance of shower gel on him. "Wen Hanlei, how long are you going to be unreasonable?" Tang Yu reached out and removed Ning Shu's hand from Bai Feifei's shoulder. "Bai Feifei is just a child. That bastard, he wouldn't even let a child off." Ning Shu shrugged his shoulders. "I'm not fooling around. It's just that seeing you rush back so anxiously, I thought something had happened to Bai Feifei." Tang Yu had abandoned Wen Hanlei while they were eating. When he ran back to take a look, he realized that there was only a cockroach in the kitchen. Bai Feifei screamed and called Tang Yu. "What's there to be afraid of?" Wen Hanlei sensed Tang Yu's concern for Bai Feifei with her sharp intuition as a woman. Especially when Tang Yu entered the room, Bai Feifei was even more flustered. She screamed and threw herself into Tang Yu's arms, hugging Tang Yu's waist tightly and burying her head in Tang Yu's chest. How was this a father and daughter? When Hanlei pulled Bai Feifei out of Tang Yu's arms in shock. She wanted to slap Bai Feifei on the spot, but Tang Yu grabbed her wrist. Then Ningxu came and vomited all over Tang Yu. When Hanlei, I will definitely marry you, but please don't be so unreasonable. Your behavior makes me very disgusted. Tang Yu frowned, making him look very serious. When Bai Feifei heard Tang Yu's words, her face instantly dimmed. Tang Yu glanced at Bai Feifei and his expression became even more serious. Ningxu laughed and reached out to grab Tang Yu's arm. Tang Yu avoided Ningxu's hand, causing Ningxu to miss. Ningxu didn't mind. He ignored their serious and gloomy gazes and said happily, I know you care about me, Tang Yu. Our engagement was set by the elders. As long as you marry me, I will be satisfied. Bai Feifei's expression became even more gloomy. Tang Yu and Ningxu said, If there's nothing else, you can go back. Ningxu sat on the sofa, crossed his legs and said, We haven't eaten yet. The three of us have never eaten together before. Let's eat together. She had vomited out everything in her stomach just now and was very hungry now. She had to get something to eat first and observe the father and daughter at the same time. The three of us will be living together in the future. Let's get used to it. Ningxu stood up and went to the kitchen. I'll cook and let you have a taste of my cooking. Bai Feifei saw Ningxu acting like the hostess and quickly said, Auntie Wen, let me do it. Ningxu was gentle and amiable. It's okay, I'll do it. You can help me from the side. Bai Feifei looked at Tang Yu, who nodded indifferently. Bai Feifei bit her lip and followed Ningxu into the kitchen. Auntie Wen, what do you want to make? Bai Feifei asked Ningxu. Ningxu thought for a while with a serious expression. Noodles. Noodles are the fastest. Your father still has to go to work after eating. Bai Feifei felt awkward being called father. She might as well call him uncle. She quickly said to Ningxu, who was standing at the side, Auntie Wen, my father has passed away. Uncle is my guardian, but he's not my father. Even if he's not your biological father, he's still your adoptive father. Ningxu crossed his arms and watched Bai Feifei deftly cook the noodles, and even cracked 3 eggs. Why don't you hire a nanny? You're a student. Can you make it in time to cook by yourself? Ningxu said lightly. It's okay. I can handle it myself. I like to cook. There's no need to hire a nanny. Bai Feifei stirred the noodles in the pot with her chopsticks. Uncle also likes to eat the food I cook. It's too tiring for him to go to work. In order to capture a man's heart, one must first capture a man's stomach. However, this also depended on who was doing it. Bai Feifei was sincere in doing this. Even if she was trying to curry favor, it was also very cute and made one's heart soften. You're so filial. Ningxu sighed. Tang Yu is lucky to have a daughter like you. When I get married to Tang Yu, we'll definitely get along well. Bai Feifei was using her chopsticks to pick up the noodles when her hand trembled. The noodles fell into the pot, and the boiling water splashed onto Bai Feifei's hand. Bai Feifei yelped. Tang Yu heard Bai Feifei's voice and rushed into the kitchen from the living room. When he saw the red spot on Bai Feifei's hand, he quickly pulled Bai Feifei to the tap and washed her with cold water. Why were you so careless? Tang Yu asked in a low voice. Bai Feifei lowered her head and said softly, I didn't do it on purpose. Uncle, I'm sorry. I don't want to hear your apology. Be more careful in the future. I know. Ningxu looked at him with a cold expression. Whether Tang Yu admitted it or not, he was subconsciously concerned about Bai Feifei. However, he didn't think it was love. He had never recognized the feelings in his heart. Yet he still wanted to marry Wen Hanlei. Damn it. Why did you have to exchange your indecent life for someone else's poem and distance? Chapter 1042. There were a few small red spots. The two of them had been washing the noodles with the tap running. The two of them were so close that they could feel each other's breaths. Ningxu couldn't stand it any longer. He coughed and said, The noodles are melted. Only then did Tang Yu let go of Bai Feifei's hand. Bai Feifei picked up her chopsticks and started cooking the noodles. Feifei is just a child. How can you let her do such a thing? Tang Yu frowned unhappily. Tang Yu liked to frown. When he frowned, he looked especially serious, making him look imposing without being angry. He had never seen Tang Yu laugh so happily before. Ning Shu ignored Tang Yu's anger and said, Fei Fei said she's familiar with the kitchen. If she did it, I couldn't stop her. Bai Fei Fei looked at Ning Shu in shock. It wasn't like that at all. This woman didn't do anything, but she couldn't tell her uncle. This fiancée of her uncle was a two-faced woman. She said one thing in front of others and another behind their backs. If her uncle married such a woman, he definitely wouldn't be happy. 3 bowls of porridge like noodles were placed on the table. Ning Shu added seasoning and ate with a spoon. Bai Fei Fei had something on her mind and couldn't eat at all. Tang Yu, on the other hand, had no appetite at all when he saw the batter like noodles. Only Ning Shu finished the bowl of noodles by herself. She wiped her mouth and said, It tastes good. Bai Fei Fei couldn't help but twitch her mouth. This was delicious? It was just to pretend to be gentle and virtuous in front of her uncle. Ning Shu stood up and took his bag from the sofa. He said, I'll go back first today. I'll come back tomorrow. What are you coming back for? Tang Yu looked at Ning Shu. Ning Shu smiled shyly and said, You're annoying. We're going to get married in the future. I want to cultivate feelings with my future daughter. Fei Fei cooked today. I'll come over tomorrow to cook a table of good dishes. Wait for me. Ning Shu waved her hand and left. She then drove away. After Ning Shu left, only Tang Yu and Bai Fei Fei were left in the room. Bai Fei Fei lowered her head and poked at the batter in the bowl with her chopsticks. Tang Yu saw that she was in low spirits and asked, Are you unhappy? Uncle, are you really going to marry Auntie Wen? Bai Fei Fei asked Tang Yu. That auntie was not a good person at all. What a hypocrite. Tang Yu turned his chair so that he was face to face with Bai Fei Fei. If you're worried that I'll neglect you after I get married, you can rest assured. Since I'm your guardian, I'll naturally take responsibility for you. Hearing Tang Yu's words, Bai Fei Fei became even more unhappy. She poked the batter with her chopsticks and then took a deep breath. She mustered her courage and stared at Tang Yu with her watery eyes. Uncle, what if I don't like that auntie? Tang Yu stared at Bai Fei Fei's clear eyes in a daze. Then he came back to his senses and looked away, saying, This is a matter between adults. A child like you shouldn't interfere. I'm not a child anymore. I'm all grown up. I know what I need to know. That auntie isn't suitable for uncle. Uncle isn't happy with her. Bai Fei Fei's eyes were moist. I've said it before. This is a matter between adults. You shouldn't interfere. Tang Yu's face darkened. Uncle, you're so mean. Bai Fei Fei ran upstairs, wiping her tears as she ran. Tang Yu sighed and couldn't help but rub his forehead. Meanwhile, Ning Shu drove back to the one-family villa. When he entered the villa, he saw Mrs. Wen playing mahjong with a few rich ladies. When she saw Ning Shu, she immediately smiled and asked in a boastful voice, How was the meal with son-in-law Tang? Ning Shu glanced at Mrs. Tang. He knew that Mrs. Tang loved to brag in front of others. If he didn't give Mrs. Wen face, there would be no end to it. Ning Shu nodded. We had Western food. But before we could eat much, your son-in-law Tang ran away. Western food is good. Western food is romantic. Mrs. Wen suddenly smiled. Ning Shu went upstairs to his room and met Wen Ermiai in the corridor. Wen Ermiai was wearing a camisole and leaning against the wall, looking at Ning Shu. Didn't you go on a date with brother-in-law? Why do you look like you fought with him? Did something unspeakable happen between you and brother-in-law? Anyway, the Wen siblings were not united and friendly. It was normal for them to argue with each other. They would hit each other when they were down and tear each other's legs apart. Ning Shu smiled. It's none of your business. Wen Ermiai sneered. Sister, everyone has to be in charge of the mall's business. But you only have to please a man and do nothing. Don't you feel guilty? The children of the Wen family were in charge of the mall's business. Each of them was in charge of an area. However, because Wen Hanlei was engaged to Tang Yu, Mr. Wen didn't allow Wen Hanlei to worry about the family's business. She just needed to wait to marry Tang Yu. Wen Hanlei was the most special of the Wen siblings. Because of this, Wen Hanlei could only hold on to Tang Yu tightly. She didn't expect Tang Yu to go back on his word at the last minute during the wedding. Hence, Wen Hanlei became the most useless person in the Wen family. She didn't have a foothold in the company and was casually married off by Mr. Wen. Could a woman who was abandoned by Tang Yu find a good family? Wen Hanlei was basically worthless. Thinking about it, it was quite cruel. But that was the truth. Sister, be careful. You won't be able to hold on to anything in the end. When Ermiai bumped into Ningshu's shoulder, Ningshu didn't move at all. Instead, when Ermiai took a step back, she raised her chin and walked away with a cold snort. Ningshu opened the door and lay on the bed. Although when Ermiai's words were unpleasant, it was the truth. The Wen family was in the mall business and had many branches. Mr. Wen adopted the model of raising venomous insects. He let his children be in charge of an area and compete with each other. Hence, the relationship between the siblings was quite unharmonious. When Hanlei was the only exception in the family, the marriage with the Tang family failed. When Hanlei was basically useless. She had no competitiveness in the Wen family and no foothold. So, it was really sad to rely on a man. Who knew if the man would change his mind in the next second? Every time when Ermiai bullied Wen Hanlei would only think that when Ermiai was jealous of her. Ningshu stared at the ceiling. The marriage between the Tang family and the Wen family would definitely fail. She couldn't be married off to anyone by Mr. Wen. So the most important thing now was to establish a foothold in the Wen family. She wouldn't be casually abandoned if she was valuable. During dinner, Ningshu said to Mr. Wen, who was sitting on the main seat, "Father, I want to manage a store." As soon as Ningshu said this, the three brothers and Wen Ermiai looked at Ningshu. Mrs. Wen didn't have any good points. She was lucky to have many children. She gave birth to 6 children for Mr. Wen. The youngest child was still in junior high school, so the Wen family had a successor. Mr. Wen often listened to Mrs. Wen as long as he didn't go overboard. Chapter 1043. Papa Wen handed the empty bowl to Mama Wen, who hurriedly scooped soup for Papa Wen. Papa Wen looked at Ningshu and asked, "Why do you want to manage the store? Didn't I tell you that you just need to be a good Mrs. Tang? The Tang family has a strong foundation. You should learn to be a good Mrs. Tang," Papa Wen said as he took the soup bowl from Mama Wen. "Sister, are you going to be abandoned by Tang Yu? Is that why you want to manage the store?" When Ermiai began to criticize Ningshu again. "I heard that Tang Yu has a daughter. Once you marry him, you will be his stepmother. I guess your future stepdaughter is not satisfied with you." Ningshu smiled. "As for me, I will marry Tang Yu. I want to manage the store to increase my value. A daughter-in-law who knows how to do business is more valuable than a good-for-nothing daughter-in-law. This will make it easier for the Wen family and the Tang family to cooperate. I am doing this for the Wen family." Ningshu looked at Wen Ermiai. "Sister, do you think I am wrong? But there is no new store for you to manage." Papa Wen took a sip of soup and said, "Father, how can there be no store for sister to manage? Why don't you let sister manage Huaxin's store?" When Ermiai smiled sinisterly at Ningshu, the 3 brothers also showed a strange smile and did not speak. Ningshu knew that there was a conspiracy. If he took the initiative to let her manage Huaxin's store, the store's business would be terrible. Papa Wen raised his eyebrows. Ningshu said, "Since you want to try your hand, you can manage Huaxin's store." Ningshu took a deep breath and took the first step. "Sister, congratulations. I believe that with your ability, you will be able to increase the sales of Huaxin's store." When Ermiai raised her glass to Ningshu, Ningshu also picked up her cup and clinked it with Wen Ermiai's. "Thank you for your kind words." Second sister Wen only smiled. Her brows were filled with schadenfreude. "What work? It's more important to take good care of Tang's son-in-law. Huaxin is a little far from here. If other women take the opportunity to come in, you'll cry," Mrs. Wen said angrily. Ningshu smiled. "The best way to keep an eye on a man is to let him run with me, not let me run with him." True love was not about chasing after each other, but about trying to get closer to each other. Love was love. Ningshu truly felt that it was meaningless. His heart was not disturbed, he was not trapped in love, he was not afraid of the future, and he did not think about the past. He was at ease. Ningxu did not want to listen to Mrs. Wen's nagging at all, so he responded with a few words. After dinner, Ningxu asked Mr. Wen about the situation of Huaxin Marketplace. It was just as Ningxu expected. Huaxin was a relatively remote place. The mall was losing money almost every year, so Mr. Wen had already planned to withdraw. Letting Ningxu manage Huaxin was just to let Ningxu do something. He did not expect Ningxu to revive the mall, and let Ningxu be at ease to marry Tang Yu and be Mrs. Tang. Coming out of the study, when Ermiai sneered and said, "I say, sister, you'd better be content with being Mrs. Tang. Don't end up empty-handed when the time comes. It would be the biggest joke in the world if you can't get anything." Ningxu tilted her head and looked at second sister Wen. "I say, have you fallen in love with me? You quarrel with me every day. You feel sad if you don't quarrel with me, right?" It was simply a series of sisters quarreling with each other. Second sister Wen was speechless. "You're my sister. Of course I love you. If you didn't come out earlier than me, I would be the one marrying Tang Yu." Second sister Wen pursed her lips. Tang Yu was a rich man that every woman wanted to marry. Any business magazine with Tang Yu's photos would be sold out. Tang Yu's fangirls were no less than those celebrities. A cold face was very charming. Imagine how crazy it would be if that face smiled at you. What a pity. Tang Yu is your future brother-in-law. You have no chance. Ningxu hummed a tune and walked away with her hands behind her back. Second sister Wen looked at Ningxu's back. What's there to be proud of? Anything can happen before marriage. Divorce can happen after marriage. Sister, you have to look after your man. Don't cry when the time comes. I'll laugh with my hands on my hips and watch you make a fool of yourself. Second sister Wen rolled her eyes. Ningxu opened the bedroom door and walked in. She bent over and poked her head out. If you want to watch me make a fool of myself, do it in your next life. Ningxu closed the door and sat cross-legged on the bed. She made a hand seal to set up a spirit-gathering array, and prepared to cultivate a peerless martial art. However, there was very little spiritual energy in this modern world. The spiritual energy between heaven and earth was almost depleted. With the help of the spirit-gathering array and the peerless martial art, Ningxu cultivated a trace of qi-jin after a night of cultivation. The qi-jin was also absorbed by his body to strengthen his muscles and bones. The next morning, Ningxu went to the market to buy groceries and went to Tang Yu's villa. He rang the doorbell. The person who opened the door was a girl with fluffy hair and heavy eyeshadow. She was chewing gum and looked like she was the most arrogant person in the world. She wore a short skirt and looked like a gangster. Ningxu stared at her face. She looked a little familiar. She looked like Bai Feifei. Yesterday she was still the cute, obedient and considerate girl next door. Today she suddenly changed her style and became a gangster? What are you looking at, auntie? Bai Feifei crossed her arms and shook her legs. She raised her chin and looked at Ningxu. Ningxu carried the things into the house and looked Bai Feifei up and down. Are you sick? You made yourself like this. What does it have to do with you? I feel good like this. Auntie, if you don't like it, you can leave. Bai Feifei raised her chin. Ningxu clicked her tongue and carried the things into the kitchen. Who are you trying to attract by being so rebellious? Are you in a relationship? What does it have to do with you? Bai Feifei deliberately made her voice sound sharp. Ningxu was not at all angered by Bai Feifei's attitude. She was a child. She had the right to be willful. Besides, she was being doted on. It has nothing to do with me, but you are now a member of the Tang family. Your guardian is Tang Yu. If you act like this, people will only say that the Tang family has no manners. Ningxu smiled slightly. Although it has nothing to do with me, I am your guardian's future wife. I have the responsibility to teach you. You haven't married uncle yet. Why are you acting like the mistress of the house? It's not certain whether uncle will marry you or not. Bai Feifei's heart twitched when she heard the words future wife. Bai Feifei was dependent on Tang Yu. When she thought of her uncle being taken away by another woman, Bai Feifei felt her heart ache. Her father was dead, her mother was missing. Her uncle was now the pillar of her soul. Ningxu looked at the flustered and exasperated Bai Feifei. She could not say things when she was obedient and sensible. But now that she was acting like a rebellious gangster, she could say them openly. If your uncle doesn't marry me, who will he marry? Ningxu said with a smile. She was still young after all. She used such a childish method to destroy Tang Yu's marriage. Chapter 1044. Ningxu looked at Bai Feifei and asked, "You don't want me to be your stepmother?" "Of course not." Bai Feifei whispered into Ningxu's ear. "Uncle doesn't like you. What's the point of pestering him like this? No one will be happy." Ningxu naturally knew that Bai Feifei was trying to provoke him. No one would be able to stand such words. Ningxu didn't have any feelings for Tang Yu. It didn't matter who Tang Yu liked. Ningxu didn't care who he liked. Ningxu stared at Bai Feifei. Her eyelids were covered with thick eyeshadow, making her look like she had been beaten up. He asked airily, "Then who do you think your uncle will be happy with?" "It's not you." Bai Feifei raised her chin. Ningxu was picking vegetables when the smell of chives wafted from his hands. He reached out and wiped Bai Feifei's body. He asked calmly, "Is it your uncle who will be happy with you?" Bai Feifei was so shocked that she almost jumped up. It was as if she had been stripped naked in front of a heavenly court. She denied it immediately. "Auntie, what nonsense are you talking about? In my heart, uncle's wife is not like you." Ningxu brushed his hair. "If it's not like me, then are you like this girl?" "You." Bai Feifei was so angry at Ningxu that her face turned red. "You two-faced woman. I will never agree to you marrying uncle." Ningxu rolled his eyes. "What right do you have to object? The marriage between the two families is not something you can object to. You are just an adopted daughter. Although Tang Yu is your guardian and your adoptive father, you can't decide your uncle's wishes." "You." Bai Feifei was speechless from the rebuttal. At the same time, she was filled with self-pity. Yes, uncle was just her guardian, not her biological father. She couldn't ask him to object to the marriage for her sake. Bai Feifei raised her head and tried not to let her tears fall. However, the tears still fell and two black lines appeared on her face. Ningxu looked away and continued to pick the vegetables. He smiled and said, "Wash your face, tsk. Bai Feifei wiped her tears with the back of her hand. Half of her face had turned black. Tang Yu came down from upstairs. After looking at her for a long time, he finally recognized the delinquent girl. His face immediately darkened as he ordered, "Go change your clothes. Who allowed you to dress like this?" A pair of white, tender, and slender thighs were exposed. Her hair was messy and fluffy, and her face looked like it had been smeared with soot. Bai Feifei was already feeling aggrieved, and now that Tang Yu was yelling at her in front of Ningxu, Bai Feifei suddenly felt that she had lost to Ningxu. Even though Bai Feifei denied it verbally, she was competing with Ningxu in her heart. Her heart was filled with repulsion towards Tang Yu's future wife. "Why are you still standing there? Go change your clothes. You're not allowed to dress like this in the future." "You look like a bad girl," Tang Yu ordered. Bai Feifei wiped her tears. "I like to dress like this. Who are you to me? What right do you have to control me? I'm your guardian. I have the right to ask you to change your clothes. In this house, you're not allowed to dress like this," Tang Yu said in a low voice. Tang Yu said in a low voice, "I won't say the same thing twice. Change your clothes." "Ningxu, you've already said it 3 times. Bai Feifei was in the rebellious phase of puberty. She was sensitive and had an inexplicable feeling for Tang Yu. Being reprimanded by Tang Yu in front of her love rival was unbearable. "Anyway, there's no place for me in this house. I'll just leave." Bai Feifei wiped her tears and rushed out of the villa. Tang Yu frowned and hesitated for a moment. Ningxu said, "I'll go take a look at her. There are many cars on the road now. It's easy to get into trouble." Before Ningxu could say anything, Tang Yu had already chased after Bai Feifei. Ningxu shrugged and spread his hands, as if it had nothing to do with her. Ningxu opened his bag and took out a mini camera. He installed one in the living room and another in Tang Yu's and Bai Feifei's rooms. Perhaps he would be able to capture something valuable. After she was done, Ningxu picked the vegetables and waited for the awkward duo to come back. Tang Yu chased for a long distance before he finally caught up with Bai Feifei. When Bai Feifei heard Tang Yu calling her name, she ran even faster. She didn't even wait for the red light, and directly crossed the road. In the end, the car sped towards Bai Feifei with its horn blaring wildly. Bai Feifei seemed to be scared out of her wits as she stared blankly at the car speeding towards her. Tang Yu's expression changed drastically. He reached out and grabbed Bai Feifei, pulling her into his arms. He pressed his hand against Bai Feifei's head and watched as the car sped away. Bai Feifei was scared out of her wits at first. Her nose was filled with her uncle's scent, and Bai Feifei's frightened heart calmed down immediately. His large hand pressed against her head and pulled her into her uncle's arms. Bai Feifei recalled that at the funeral her uncle had held her hand and stunned the entire group of relatives. Her uncle was her salvation. She wanted her uncle to be happy. Bai Feifei hugged Tang Yu's waist tightly, the corners of her lips curled up as she closed her eyes, intoxicated. Tang Yu was hugged tightly by Bai Feifei. He let go of Bai Feifei, but Bai Feifei hugged him tightly. Tang Yu pushed her away and said in a low voice, "Do you know that you were in danger just now?" Bai Feifei had a smile on her face. Her face was very pretty, but her smile was very bright. Tang Yu didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but his expression became even more serious. "If I had to do it again, I would do the same," Bai Feifei said cheekily, to be able to make her uncle take the initiative to pull her into his arms. "Bai Feifei, you are becoming more and more disobedient. There is a limit to my tolerance." Tang Yu's face darkened when he saw that Bai Feifei was not ashamed but proud. "Uncle, I know. I will be more careful next time." Bai Feifei hugged Tang Yu's arm. Her soft chest pressed against Tang Yu's arm. It was summer now, and Tang Yu was wearing casual clothes, so he could clearly feel the softness. Tang Yu frowned slightly, feeling that something was wrong. He wanted to pull his arm away, but Bai Feifei held on tightly to his arm. "Let go," Tang Yu said in a low voice. "I won't let go." "Let go. I won't let go. I won't let go," Bai Feifei said bravely. Tang Yu's expression was somewhat helpless. Bai Feifei instantly smiled. She realized that this kind of shameless method was more effective in dealing with her uncle. "Uncle, must you marry Auntie One?" Bai Feifei raised her head and looked at Tang Yu with her watery eyes. "That auntie isn't who you think she is. She's a two-faced person. She's gentle and virtuous in front of you, but she's a completely different person in private. I hope Uncle won't be deceived by her." Chapter 1045. "Uncle, if I didn't like that auntie you wouldn't have married her, right?" Tang Yu lowered his eyes and met Bai Feifei's pleading gaze. His heart skipped a beat and he looked away. "Don't worry about adult matters." "Uncle, you're using this excuse to brush me off again." Bai Feifei pouted. "I've already grown up. I've grown up." Bai Feifei pouted her pink lips, looking displeased. Tang Yu looked at her pink lips and felt a little restless. The way she was asking for a kiss, coupled with Bai Feifei's youthful eyes, made his heart thump. Tang Yu hurriedly averted his gaze. He coughed and said in a low voice, "We'll talk about this later." Bai Feifei pouted unhappily, but she still hugged Tang Yu's arm tightly. Ning Shu watched as the two of them came back intimately, and even hugged each other. Did something happen that she didn't know about? Tang Yu saw Ning Shu and wanted to pull his arm back, but Bai Feifei held on tightly. "Feifei, let go," Tang Yu said. Bai Feifei looked at Ning Shu and said, "Uncle, I'm scared. I was almost hit by a car." "Hit by a car?" Ning Shu scanned Bai Feifei's body. "You're not hurt anywhere." "When Hanlei, you shouldn't talk like that. If I hadn't grabbed Feifei quickly, she would have been hit by a car." Tang Yu was displeased with Ning Shu's indifferent attitude. "You're my fiancé and will be Feifei's mother in the future. I don't want you to reject her so much. Auntie, let's get along well in the future." Bai Feifei bared her teeth. Ning Shu smiled, looking pleased. Tang Yu glared at her sternly. Bai Feifei stopped smiling, but her eyes were filled with happiness. Ning Shu nodded. "Of course we'll get along well. We'll be mother and daughter in the future." Bai Feifei pouted, looking very proud. Tang Yu's feelings for this adopted daughter were deeper than his own fiancée's. He was protective of his adopted daughter, but he was cold to his future wife. This was nothing. There was a difference between those who were close and those who were distant. Ning Shu smiled and asked Tang Yu, "When you adopted Bai Feifei, you didn't tell me. Now, I want to know why you wanted to adopt Bai Feifei." "Uncle and my father are friends. My father asked Uncle to take care of me. Is there a problem, Auntie?" Bai Feifei grimaced as she spoke to Ning Shu. However, she looked youthful and beautiful. Even if she was baring her teeth, she still looked very cute. Friends. One is a business tycoon, and the other is just a clothing seller who manages a niche brand. How can the two of them be friends? Ning Shu sneered. Bai Feifei was stunned for a moment. Tang Yu glanced at Bai Feifei. Ning Shu said in a low voice, "You talk too much." Was Bai Feifei's mind filled with such thoughts? Some things did not make sense the moment she thought about it. She had acknowledged the thief as her father and was always shouting, "Daddy, I'm afraid of this and that." Even her own relatives had drawn their swords and turned hostile. What more an outsider? Why would he treat her so well, and even be her guardian if he did not have any ulterior motives? One who was unaccountably solicitous was hiding evil intentions. There was no such thing as inexplicable love or hatred in this world. Ning Shu hated doing such missions the most. All day long you love me. I hate you. I can't get your heart. I can get your body, blah blah blah. Life was too good. He only thought about such things all day long. Tang Yu looked at Ning Shu coldly. "You will be the daughter-in-law of the Tang family in the future. You should know clearly what you should and shouldn't say." "Yes, I am the daughter-in-law of the Tang family. I will definitely work hard to be a qualified daughter-in-law of the Tang family and get along well with my stepdaughter," Ning Shu said with a smile. When Hanlei had schemed to marry Tang Yu, what was the point of marrying him? He had not even told her that he had adopted a half-grown child. With such a cold marriage, it was not as if she could not survive if she did not marry Tang Yu. "Go change your clothes and wash your face," Tang Yu said to Bai Feifei. "Don't wear such clothes again, do you understand?" Bai Feifei nodded and went upstairs. Tang Yu looked at Ning Shu. "I will give you the status of Mrs. Tang, but you are not allowed to meddle. If you endanger the interests of the Tang family, don't blame me for being rude." Ning Shu patted his chest. "I'm so scared." Bai Feifei changed her clothes quickly. She was wearing a knee-length dress and her face was clean, revealing her fair and youthful skin. Her slightly curly hair was wearing a crystal hair clip. She looked like a new person. She was worlds apart from the delinquent girl from before. Tang Yu was stunned when he saw Bai Feifei like this. Then he looked away. Ning Shu only sneered. Lunch was a bowl of noodles for each of them. Tang Yu looked at the noodles. "Didn't you buy so many ingredients?" "I put the ingredients in the fridge for you to cook when you are hungry." Ning Shu slurped the noodles. Bai Feifei rolled her eyes. "Auntie, we still have the money to buy ingredients. There are so many ingredients in the fridge that they are not fresh at all. Don't tell me you don't know how to cook?" Ning Shu finished the last mouthful of noodles and put down his chopsticks. He wiped his mouth. "So what if I can cook? So what if I can't? I am Uncle's adopted daughter. I am responsible for choosing a qualified wife for him. A woman who can't cook can't be Uncle's wife." Bai Feifei counted on her fingers. "Uncle works very hard and often eats irregularly. So as his wife, I must know how to make soup. I must know how to make soup that nourishes the stomach and spleen. If you don't know how to cook, you will fail the first task. Auntie, you need to practice more." Bai Feifei chattered on. Tang Yu listened to Bai Feifei's words and his gaze softened. Even his stern face softened. Ning Shu stared at the smug look on Bai Feifei's face. It was as if he had gained the upper hand and defeated the enemy. Ning Shu nodded. "All right then. From tomorrow onwards, I will send soup to Tang Yu. I will send soup that nourishes the stomach and spleen. I will send it to the company in case Tang Yu forgets to eat again." "No, you can't," Bai Feifei hurriedly said. She was going to school to study. What if this woman went to the company to send soup to her uncle every day? What if her uncle was touched by this two-faced woman? Ning Shu stared at Bai Feifei. "You were the one who said that your uncle wants to drink soup. Why can't I do it? What if your uncle forgets to eat and something happens to him? Can't I send soup?" It was simply inexplicable. She really treated her adoptive father as her own man. The original owner was Tang Yu's rightful fiancé, but she was controlled by Bai Feifei. Bai Feifei might look obedient and charming, but she was witty in her bones. In the plot, Wen Hanlei was often teased by Bai Feifei. Wen Hanlei wanted to marry Tang Yu and had to please this adopted daughter, but she was often teased by Bai Feifei. Chapter 1046. Wen Hanlei hated Bai Feifei. Sometimes she would be angered by Bai Feifei and do things that were out of line. Coincidentally, Tang Yu saw how vulgar and vicious his fiancé was. Bai Feifei watched the show from the side. She was proud that she had exposed this two-faced woman's true colors. It was also because Wen Hanlei cared too much about Tang Yu. If it were Ning Shu, he would have beaten her up on the spot. This kind of brat needed to be taught a lesson. "You don't have to bring me soup," Tang Yu said. "Why?" Ning Shu's face was cold as he stared at Tang Yu. "I'm your fiancé. Why can't I bring you soup?" "I'm eating in the office." "It's not good for you to come," Tang Yu said lightly. Hearing Tang Yu's words, Bai Feifei immediately covered her mouth and laughed. "Auntie, you should practice more first. Otherwise your soup won't taste good." "Call me sister." "Why are you calling me auntie? You have no manners." Ning Shu glanced at Bai Feifei. "You were so well-behaved before, but look at you now. What do you look like? You're from a small family after all. Why are you interrupting when the adults are talking? Did your father teach you this, or did your uncle teach you this?" Bai Feifei stood up immediately. "My upbringing is very good. If you want to talk, just talk. What's the point of dragging my late father into it? You can talk about me, but you can't talk about my father." Pfft, wahahaha. Ning Shu looked at Bai Feifei and couldn't help but laugh. To think that Bai Feifei was so protective of her late father. However, her actions would definitely cause her father to jump out of his coffin. For the sake of love, she didn't care about relationships or parents. Her late parents couldn't compare to the happiness she had now. The people who had passed away were no longer important. Grasping the happiness in front of her was the most important thing. Her own mother had died in front of her, but she could still forgive Tang Yu after a little struggle. She couldn't help it. She loved this man. "What are you laughing at?" Bai Feifei stared at Ning Shu with an ashen face. Even Tang Yu stared at Ning Shu. He narrowed his eyes and pondered. Ning Shu stopped laughing and rubbed his face. "I'm not laughing. I just thought of something funny. I've already eaten. I'll leave first." Since she had already achieved her goal today, she might be able to get something good from the auction. Ning Shu carried her bag and walked out of the villa. Bai Feifei chased after Ning Shu. "Auntie, wait a moment." Ning Shu turned to look at her expressionlessly. "If you call me auntie again, I won't be polite to you. You're an auntie to begin with. You're older than me, so what else should I call you if not auntie?" Bai Feifei said with a smile. Ning Shu sneered. "Just because your uncle dotes on you, you don't care about others? Auntie, aren't you also taking advantage of your status as uncle's fiancée to enter the house?" Bai Feifei said. "I'll be frank with you. I don't like you." "I don't like you either. I don't like rebellious brats like you." Ning Shu looked at Bai Feifei expressionlessly. "Who knows, I might have to teach you how to behave. Talk about the sea of stars and the boundless universe." Bai Feifei's expression was ugly. "I want you to apologize. You insulted my father. You're the one who insulted your father, not me. I think someone must have poured a bucket of feces on your ancestral grave to give birth to a daughter like you." Ning Shu clicked his tongue. Bai Feifei gritted her teeth. "Wen Hanlei, don't go overboard. I'll make sure uncle doesn't marry you. Whether I can marry Tang Yu or not is not up to you to decide. You're just an adopted child. How many times do I have to repeat myself before you understand? I heard that your mother went missing. Instead of looking for your own mother, you're still hanging around the Tang family. Don't you have any shame? If it were me, I'd be too embarrassed to stay in the Tang family." Bai Feifei was so angry that she was about to cry. "You're too despicable. You act one way in front of uncle and another in private. Hypocritical woman." "You're not hypocritical. You're a weak woman who would cry at the sight of a cockroach. Why are you pretending to be a gangster?" Aren't you just trying to get your uncle's attention by being so rebellious? Ningshu's face was full of disdain. No, I just like to dress that way. What can you do about it? Ningshu turned around, opened the car door, and left. There was no point in arguing with a child. Bai Feifei closed the car door Ningshu had opened. You're not allowed to leave. Bai Feifei, are you crazy? Do you think I should curry favor with you? Ningshu's expression was impatient. Get lost. You should be more polite. Otherwise, I'll tell uncle your true colors. Bai Feifei looked at Ningshu with a smug look. Fucking retard. What to do when a naughty child is disobedient? Just give her a beating. Ningshu slowly rolled up his sleeves and gave Bai Feifei a tight slap. The slap was so loud that Bai Feifei's face was slanted to the side. Bai Feifei was stunned by Ningshu's slap. It took her a long time to come back to her senses. She covered her face and said in a daze, You hit me? What right do you have to hit me? Ningshu's slap landed on the other side of Bai Feifei's face. Finally, it was symmetrical. Wenhanlei, what right do you have to hit me? Bai Feifei shouted at Ningshu. She stretched out her hand to fight back with Ningshu. Ningshu casually broke off a branch from the garden and whipped Bai Feifei's body. Bai Feifei immediately cried out in pain. Uncle, save me, save me. Bai Feifei rushed into the villa. Tang Yu heard the commotion and came out to see Bai Feifei curled up in a ball. Ningshu was whipping Bai Feifei. He was instantly enraged and shouted, Enough! Tang Yu quickly walked over to snatch the vine from Ningshu's hand. Ningshu took the opportunity to whip Tang Yu, and Tang Yu's face instantly darkened. Ningshu whipped another 2 vines. Only then did Tang Yu snatch the branch from Ningshu. He broke it and threw it on the ground. What's the fuss about? Uncle, she hit me. Bai Feifei said pitifully to Tang Yu. She lifted her arm, and there were red marks all over it. Wenhanlei, you've really grown up. Feifei is just a child. Why did you hit her? Tang Yu stretched out his arm in front of Bai Feifei. There were red marks on Bai Feifei's face. She sobbed and said, Uncle, she just can't stand me. Uncle, she's a two-faced woman. You won't be happy with such a woman. I just said that Uncle doesn't like women like her, and she flipped out. Bai Feifei's expression was very aggrieved. Looks like our wedding date needs to be delayed for a while. Bai Feifei is just a child, and you can even lay your hands on her. I can't imagine what it will be like for us to live together, Tang Yu said with a cold face. Ningshu straightened his clothes expressionlessly and brushed the dust off his clothes. What's there to explain? I've already tolerated her for a long time. Beating her up feels much better. Chapter 1047. Doshuang? Hearing Ningshu's words, Bai Feifei's face turned red with anger. Tang Yu's face darkened. If the other party had apologized or quibbled, Tang Yu would have thought it was normal. But he admitted it so arrogantly. Tang Yu felt a little frustrated. Is this how you intend to be Mrs. Tang? So vulgar and rude? Tang Yu's face darkened. Ningshu spread his hands. Why do the two of you like to use this to threaten me? You don't care what kind of Mrs. Tang I am. You don't like anything I do, so why should I make you happy? Wenhanlei's weakness was that she wanted to marry Tang Yu too much and cared too much about him. He used this weakness to force her to compromise. Ningshu only wanted to say, get lost. To be honest, looking at the two of you makes my eyes dirty. Ningshu rolled his eyes. Who are you trying to scare? It's as if I, Wenhanlei, have to marry you. Tang Yu's expression didn't change. It's not up to you to decide. It's up to the two families. So don't threaten me so easily. I don't like it. Ningshu tilted his head and glanced at Bai Feifei, who was hiding behind Tang Yu. He pointed at her. Don't talk nonsense in front of me. Otherwise, I'll beat you up every time I see you. You're just a person whose family is ruined and lives under someone else's roof. You should tuck your tail between your legs and behave yourself. Who didn't know how to poke at someone's sore spot? Bai Feifei's face turned pale. She bit her lips tightly and glared at Ningshu with eyes that were spitting fire. Ningshu opened the car door, got in, and drove off. Tang Yu turned around and said to Bai Feifei, I've said it before. This is a matter between adults. Don't interfere. Study hard. Don't interfere in adult matters. Bai Feifei was stunned. Tears streamed down her face. Uncle, are you blaming me for being a busybody? I'm just letting you see that woman's true colors. Uncle, you won't be happy if you marry her. You've crossed the line. Tang Yu's face darkened. Bai Feifei, who had just joined the Tang family, was rather obedient. Now, she was showing the mischievous nature of her age. Bai Feifei bit her lips tightly and didn't say anything. After Tang Yu went to the office, Bai Feifei packed her things and left. Ning Shu left the villa and went to look for a private investigator. He wanted the private investigator to look for Bai Feifei's mother. She couldn't let Tang Yu deal with Bai Feifei's mother first. Thinking about how the two of them had a grudge against each other, and how they couldn't be together when they loved each other. Oh my God, just thinking about it was so heartbreaking. Ning Shu told the private investigator the basic information and said, "If you find this person, let me know immediately. This is the deposit." With a detective constantly monitoring Bai Feifei's mother's movements, they could also prevent her from dying. If Bai Feifei's mother personally admitted that Tang Yu had caused Bai Feifei's father's death, he wondered what kind of scene it would be. Also, help me keep an eye on Bai Feifei, Ning Shu said. If there's anything special, take a picture of it. Okay. The private detective took the money. I'll let you know if there's any news. Ning Shu left the detective agency and went to the office. He told Mr. Wen that he was going to Huaxin Marketplace to take a look. Mr. Wen didn't even raise his head. Ning Shu said, "Go ahead." Ning Shu drove to Huaxin Marketplace. The mall was not bad, but there weren't many customers. There were more staff than customers. These staff had nothing to do. They leaned against the counter and chatted. Anyway, they had nothing to do. No wonder this store was losing money every year. There were really few customers. Ning Shu didn't reveal his identity. He walked around the mall. Some food that had expired were still on the shelves. Some of the vegetables in the vegetable section had already turned yellow. They looked like they were about to rot. When they saw customers, the staff didn't even greet them. Instead, they asked Ning Shu what he needed. Da. There were still some branded goods in the mall, but business wasn't good. Many of the shops were empty. Because they weren't profitable, many brands had already left. Ning Shu walked around. Out of the 10 shops, 5 of them were already empty. The remaining shops were still holding on. Ning Shu bought some food and spent a day walking around every corner of the mall. He took a notebook and recorded all kinds of problems. There were indeed many problems. It would take a lot of effort and budget to rectify them. She knew that when Ermiai was up to no good, but she had to accept it. Because there was no place for her in the company, the other profitable stores were not something she could touch. The only thing she could do was to do her best to run Huaxin Marketplace to prove her strength. Ning Shu left the mall. It was already dark. As soon as he drove to the garage, his phone rang. He looked at the caller ID. It was Tang Yu. Ning Shu couldn't help but be surprised. Tang Yu had never taken the initiative to call Wen Hanlei. The phone rang for a while and didn't hang up. Ning Shu pressed the answer button and heard Tang Yu's slightly anxious voice asking, "Wen Hanlei, do you know where Bai Feifei went? She even took her clothes away. I went to the school, but I don't know where the teachers and classmates went. It's already so late, and they're still not back. How would I know where she went? I'm not her mother yet," Ning Shu said with a smirk. Bai Feifei ran away from home and came to ask her. Bai Feifei would rather sleep on the streets than look for her. Anyway, Bai Feifei would be fine. The female lead's privilege was that she could do whatever she wanted. Bai Feifei, what's with your attitude? Tang Yu's voice was low. He was probably too anxious and took his anger out on Ning Shu. "Ning Shu, what does it have to do with me? Call me when you're free. Go look for your daughter. She's a tender girl. If she doesn't come home when it's dark, she won't even have the strength to fight back. How pitiful." Before Ning Shu could finish, the phone hung up. Ning Shu pursed his lips. "You're so anxious." Bai Feifei was probably eating and playing at her friend's house now. He didn't know where Bai Feifei got her confidence from to think that Tang Yu would fall for her tricks. Indeed, one would know if one was loved or not. Ning Shu rushed to the Wen family for dinner. He sat on the chair and drank a mouthful of soup. When he was half full, he said to Father Wen, Father, I went to Huaxin's mall today. Ha ha. Sister Wen immediately laughed out loud, taking pleasure in her misfortune. Ningxu glanced at Wen Ermiai. What are you laughing at? You have vegetables on your teeth. Wen Ermiai immediately shut her mouth. Ningxu said, I went to see the mall that you manage. What are your thoughts? Ningxu ignored Wen Ermiai and asked Father Wen. Father, can you give me some funds? Sister, just give up. The company won't invest in Huaxin's mall anymore. We won't be able to recoup our capital, Wen Ermiai said with a smile. Chapter 1048. Ningxu originally wanted to ask Papa Wen for some money to redesign the store in Huaxin. However, Wen Ermiai kept making jokes, which made Ningxu want to stuff a piece of dung into Wen Ermiai's mouth. Sister, you're not allowed to talk. Ningxu stopped Wen Ermiai. Wen Ermiai rolled her eyes. Dad, I think Huaxin's store can still be saved. Ningxu said to Mr. Wen. Mr. Wen said faintly, Huaxin's store is going to be closed in the second half of the year. We won't invest any more money in it. Doing business is profitable, and the only way is to stop the loss. Ningxu was a little disappointed. Look after Mr. Tang's son-in-law. What's the point of worrying about these things? Ningxu said, This place doesn't make money, but you can make money if you go there? I know what I'm doing. Ningxu said casually. Sister, how much money do you need? I can lend it to you. Wen Ermiai said to Ningxu with a smile. Ningxu, are you that kind? Ningxu didn't believe that Wen Ermiai would lend him money. Wen Ermiai spread out her hands. You wish. Shut up, you talk like poop. Ningxu put down his chopsticks and went back to his room. Ningxu checked the original owner's savings, which was not much, certainly not as much as Wen Ermiai. Wen Ermiai was in charge of the store, which was a high-level company, so she would get a bonus. Only the original owner had nothing. He would get some pocket money every month. The Wen family believed that the strong were respected, so they would get more if they did well. The original owner made Tang Yu his life career. Damn, he didn't have much money. He definitely had enough money to buy some branded goods, but he couldn't afford more. Ningxu added up all the original owner's savings, which was about 200,000 to 300,000 yuan, no more. But to redesign Huaxin's store, this amount of money was definitely not enough. Ningxu knocks on Mrs. Wen's door quietly. Mrs. Wen is applying all kinds of expensive skincare products on her face. When she sees Ningxu, she asks, What are you doing? Ningxu squeezed to Mrs. Wen's side and reached out to massage her shoulders. Mrs. Wen glanced at Ningxu in the mirror and asked, Tell me what's the matter? Mom, do you have money? Lend me some. Ningxu asked his mother. No. Mrs. Wen said straightforwardly. Ningxu was speechless. Don't be like this. Ningxu looked at Mrs. Wen. Second sister came to me just now. She said that you would definitely come to borrow money from me and asked me not to lend it to you. Mrs. Wen said. I have never seen a sister with such a bad relationship. Yes, a lot. Ningxu was speechless. He felt that Wen Ermiai was going against him. What did the original owner do to make Wen Ermiai hate her so much? What did you say? Mrs. Wen looked at Ningxu. Ningxu quickly shook his head and said, Nothing. I will definitely be in love with second sister in the future. Mom, can't you lend me some? Ningxu winked at Mrs. Wen. Mrs. Wen had a lot of money. I don't have money. I am just a housewife. Where can I get money? Mrs. Wen flatly refused. If you don't cultivate your relationship with Mr. Tang, you are simply putting the cart before the horse. Mom, lend it to me. If I fail, I will stop immediately, okay? Ningxu almost swore to the heavens. Mrs. Wen sighed and took out a card to Ningxu. If you can't do it, don't do it. Isn't it good to be like me? Not everyone has a good life like you. You have 6 children and have a firm foothold in the Wen family. When Hanlei was abandoned at the wedding. In Mr. Wen's words, she disgraced the Wen family. Thank you, Mom. Ningxu took the card. What's the password? Mrs. Wen glared at Ningxu. Ningxu smiled and put away the card. When he went out, he bumped into Wen Ermiai. Are you a ghost? Why do I meet you everywhere at home? Why do you keep staring at me? Ningxu said angrily. TSK. I knew you would ask Mom for money. Look at you, you didn't get the money? When Ermiai said gloatingly. It's none of your business. Ningxu went into his room and closed the door. He was too lazy to talk to her. Ningxu could see that when Ermiai took pleasure in attacking him, he didn't like him. The money problem was solved. Ningxu sat on the bed and picked up the bedside computer to check the situation of Tang Yu's villa. Bai Feifei had run away from home. He didn't know if she had been found. The computer showed Bai Feifei sitting on the sofa in the living room. Tang Yu sat opposite her. Their lips were moving. Because the camera was near the floor-to-ceiling window, they couldn't hear what they were saying. After saying something, Tang Yu stood up and was about to leave the villa. Bai Feifei also stood up and hugged Tang Yu from behind. Ningxu took a screenshot of this scene and saved the video. Tang Yu wanted to pry Bai Feifei's hands away, but Bai Feifei was sobbing. From Ningxu's angle, he could see the helpless and doting expression on Tang Yu's face. Bai Feifei smiled through her tears. The two of them had dinner. Then, the high-powered video showed Bai Feifei in her pajamas entering Tang Yu's bedroom. Because of the small space, Ningxu could hear their conversation clearly. Uncle, the weather forecast said there will be a storm tonight. I'm afraid of thunder. I want to sleep with you. Go back to your room. No, Uncle, I want to sleep with you. I'm afraid of thunder. Bai Feifei threw herself onto Tang Yu's bed and wrapped herself in the blanket. Tang Yu rubbed his brows. Go back to your room. I'll say it one last time. Go back to your room. Uncle, I'm begging you. Just let me sleep in your room. Don't worry, I promise I won't disturb your work. I'll sleep on the floor. There's a carpet on the floor. There's no harm sleeping on the floor. Bai Feifei rolled off the bed with the blanket wrapped around her and fell to the floor. Bai Feifei yelped. Tang Yu immediately walked towards her. How is it? Tang Yu squatted down and asked Bai Feifei. Bai Feifei suddenly reached out and wrapped her arms around Tang Yu's neck. With a pull, their faces were almost pressed together, and the tips of their noses touched intimately. Tang Yu quickly retreated. Because Bai Feifei's hands were around his neck, the two of them pulled and fell to the floor. Bai Feifei was on top of Tang Yu. Bai Feifei looked at Tang Yu, who was on top of her, and smiled. She actually lowered her head and kissed Tang Yu's face. However, she looked very clumsy and shy. Tang Yu was stunned for a moment and quickly pushed Bai Feifei away. Ningxu gave full marks to her flirting skills. That was why flirting didn't affect age. What are you doing? Tang Yu looked at Bai Feifei with a dark expression. Bai Feifei smiled. Uncle, I'm kissing you. Shameless. Get out. Tang Yu dragged Bai Feifei out of his bedroom. Chapter 1049. Bai Feifei clutched the door tightly and shouted, I'm not going out. There's going to be thunder tonight. Ningxu listened to Bai Feifei's words and silently looked at the moonlight outside. If there was thunder in this weather, Ningxu would wring his head off. Uncle, my hand hurts. It hurts. Bai Feifei's face was pained. Where does it hurt? Tang Yu asked. Bai Feifei darted into the bedroom and lay on the bed, refusing to get down. Bai Feifei, I've told you time and time again that I'm your adoptive father and guardian. You can't do such a thing and do such a thing. Tang Yu's face darkened. Bai Feifei giggled and said, What did I do? Uncle, I didn't do anything. You said I kissed you. That's etiquette. Don't foreigners also kiss to show intimacy? Bai Feifei, don't talk nonsense with me. This isn't a foreign country. You're not a foreigner. Tang Yu pulled Bai Feifei. Go back to your room and sleep. No, I won't. There'll be thunder, and I'll have nightmares. Bai Feifei stood up and avoided Tang Yu. Uncle, how can you be so cruel? I'm just kissing you to show intimacy. Bai Feifei suddenly remembered Tang Yu. A real kiss is like this. Bai Feifei blocked Tang Yu's mouth with her cherry lips. Tang Yu's paws went numb for a moment. Bai Feifei kissed Tang Yu awkwardly. Tang Yu was stunned for a moment before he turned the tables and hugged Bai Feifei to kiss her. Ningxu, oh my god, the two of them were kissing. Ningxu silently took a screenshot. Seeing the two of them kissing so passionately, Ningxu considered if he should sleep first. A single man and a single woman in a dark and windy night. He wondered if there would be any breakthrough between the two of them. But Bai Feifei was only 16 years old now. Ning Shu leaned against the headboard and stared at the computer. The two of them kissed and fell onto the bed. In the end, Tang Yu stopped them in time. "You're still young." "I'm not young anymore." Bai Feifei's voice was muffled. "I've already grown up." "Ning Shu, I'm afraid you'll regret it," Tang Yu said in a low voice. He was panting a little. "I won't regret it. As long as I'm uncle, I won't regret it." But in the end nothing happened. Tang Yu went to the bathroom. Ning Shu curled his lips. What a waste of emotions. He thought that he would be able to see a blood-boiling scene. In this relationship, Bai Feifei was the one who took the initiative. It wasn't that Tang Yu didn't have feelings for Bai Feifei, but Tang Yu had misgivings. He had caused the death of Bai Feifei's father. At that time, if there was any development between him and Bai Feifei, it would be a bomb. Ning Shu turned off the computer and sat cross-legged on the bed to cultivate his peerless martial arts. She didn't care about the matter between the father and daughter. The next day, she drove to Huaxin's store and went straight to the manager. He asked the manager to bring a group of people to follow him. He ordered people to remove all the expired items from the shelves and throw away all the yellowing vegetables in the vegetable section. He rearranged the position of the goods, wiped the dust off the shelves, and cleaned them from the inside out. Ning Shu's torment made the staff complain. They were used to being lazy. Now that the workload suddenly increased, they were very unhappy. Ning Shu directly asked the talkative staff to leave. This kind of people didn't know how to be grateful. They had to be responsible for everything they did. Seeing that someone was fired, the rest of the staff held back their opinions. Recently, Ning Shu didn't plan to open the store for business. Anyway, there wouldn't be much business if he opened the store. He might as well reorganize it. Ning Shu promised the staff twice the salary for these 2 days. Ning Shu planned to set up a children's play center. The play center could attract children. Adults would bring their children here and visit the store. Moreover, the play center would also make a profit. As for whether it would work or not, he could only try. Ning Shu knocked down the walls of a few empty shops and turned them into a larger play center. Fortunately, with the money given by Mrs. Wan, Ning Shu was able to meet the urgent needs. Ning Shu's actions were reported to the company by the store manager. Mr. Wan didn't comment on Ning Shu's actions and let Ning Shu do whatever he wanted. Anyway, the store would be closed in the second half of the year. Anyway, she was spending her own money. Mr. Wan didn't care at all. Ning Shu silently watched the store manager tattling on him. "What did my father say?" Ning Shu asked expressionlessly. The store manager was a little embarrassed. "The chairman said that you have full authority to make the decision. Manager Li, you are a manager here. If the store is closed, you won't be as comfortable as here when you go back to the company. Even if you go back to the company, you won't be familiar with the place," Ning Shu said gently. Manager Li nodded. "I want this store more than anyone else. So Manager Li, please support my work. The staff are shy. I'll have to trouble you." Ning Shu stared at the construction team. "You will get a lot of dividends. Don't worry." Truck after truck of goods were driven to the warehouse of the store. The staff unloaded the goods from the truck and put the goods on the shelves. Ning Shu selected good quality and cheap goods to purchase this time. There were also more expensive goods. The sales in this store were not good because the goods in the mall were beyond the spending power of the people nearby. With Ning Shu's assurance, Manager Li didn't drag his feet as before. Ning Shu was busy in Huaxin's store. He didn't even know the time. Mrs. Wan called Ning Shu and asked him to go back quickly. She said that the Tang family came to discuss the marriage between her and Tang Yu. Ning Shu didn't come back to his senses for a long time. He patted the sawdust on his body, covered his ears and went out of the store. "What are you talking about? Come back quickly. We are discussing the wedding date," Mrs. Wan said. Ning Shu asked, "Does Tang Yu agree?" "Why wouldn't he agree? You have been engaged for several years. It's time to get married. Don't be busy with your stuff. Come back quickly." Mrs. Wan repeatedly urged Ning Shu to come back. Ning Shu rolled his eyes and asked, "Does Tang Yu know about the wedding date?" "Of course he knows. Your Uncle Tang and Auntie Tang will come tomorrow. Come back quickly and tidy yourself up. Make yourself prettier, Mrs. Wen said. Then Tang Yu won't come? Ning Shu asked. I heard that the company is busy. Maybe he will come, maybe he won't. Shit. Ning Shu hung up the phone. The phone rang again. When he saw that the caller ID was Tang Yu, Ning Shu rolled his eyes. He felt that it wasn't a good thing. He let the phone ring for a while before he picked it up. Wen Hanlei. Tang Yu called Ning Shu's name and paused for a moment. Why did he call her so sentimentally? Tang Yu then said, Wen Hanlei, I think our marriage can be delayed. Why? Ning Shu's voice was unusually gloomy. I am so old. How much of my youth do you want to waste? Chapter 1050. Mother Wen said that she would come over to discuss the wedding date, but Tang Yu called and said that the wedding had to be delayed. Delay your ass. Ning Shu guessed that Tang Yu was in a dilemma now. He had strange feelings for his adopted daughter, but his heart rejected her. But if he really wanted to marry her, Tang Yu's heart would reject it even more. Subconsciously, he rejected marrying her. Damn it, if he didn't want to get married, then forget it. Why did he have to drag her down like this? Do you not want to marry me? Ning Shu gritted his teeth and said. Tang Yu was silent for a while on the other end of the phone, then said, I will definitely marry you, but I'm not ready to get married yet. What do you need to prepare? Ning Shu sneered. Your parents will come over tomorrow to discuss the wedding date. What do you say? I'll deal with this matter. Our wedding can be delayed. Tang Yu hung up after saying that. Hey, damn this son of a bitch. Ning Shu was speechless. Why did he keep a woman hanging like this? Because of the family's interests, the marriage between the two families was agreed upon, but he kept Wen Hanlei hanging like this. Wen Hanlei was also miserable. Tang Yu finally agreed to get married, but he ran away at the wedding. She waited until all her efforts were exhausted, but in the end she still failed. She cried until she was blind. Ning Shu packed up and drove home. As soon as he arrived home, Mother Wen saw Ning Shu with a dirty face and suddenly screamed exaggeratedly. What did you do? Did you go to the sewer? How did you get like this? Hurry up and get dressed. Come with me for a facial treatment. Mrs. Wen dragged Ning Shu to the beauty salon without any explanation. Mom, I don't think Tang Yu wants to marry me, Ning Shu said to Mother Wen, who was sleeping next door. Mother Wen said disapprovingly. In a family like ours, there are many things that are beyond our control. Men want to enjoy the outside world more when they have money. At this time, we have to endure it. You think your father doesn't have a woman, so I will pretend that I don't know anything. As long as he doesn't make trouble at home, I will turn a blind eye. But if he comes to our house, I won't let him have a good time, Mrs. Wen said. Ning Shu sighed. Marry Tang's son-in-law first to ensure your rights and status. Mrs. Wen said vaguely to Ning Shu. It doesn't matter whether Mr. Tang has other women in his heart or not. What matters is that you are his wife. Mom, are you really my mother? Ning Shu said helplessly. This kind of marriage was not as comfortable as being alone. Why did she have to compromise so much? It's because I'm your mother that I'm telling you this. Once you figure it out, you won't feel so sad anymore, Mrs. Wen said. Hearing this, Ning Shu felt that Mrs. Wen was also a woman with a story. Ning Shu exhaled. Son-in-law Tang is a decent person. He doesn't usually have any scandals. Mrs. Wen comforted Ning Shu. As for not wanting to get married, men don't want to be tied down, especially men who have the capital to go wild and wander around. Ning Shu just wanted to roll his eyes. After finishing the facial and returning home, Ning Shu turned on the computer to check what had happened recently. Ning Shu browsed through the video. Ever since the kiss, Tang Yu and Bai Feifei's relationship had changed slightly. It was an awkward and ambiguous atmosphere. Bai Feifei turned into a flirting master and took the opportunity to tease Tang Yu. Tang Yu still had a straight face and seemed unmoved, but his heart was stirring. They both had feelings for each other, but there was no need to break the ice. Bai Feifei often brought her classmates to the house. There were male and female classmates. Bai Feifei was beautiful and charming, so naturally, there were boys who had a crush on her. Tang Yu was a rather strict person. After every party, the house would be in a mess. There was trash everywhere, which made Tang Yu very unhappy, especially when he saw the way the boys looked at Bai Feifei. It made Tang Yu very angry. Tang Yu directly ordered Bai Feifei not to bring them home, but Bai Feifei refused. She even asked why. Bai Feifei was deliberately testing Tang Yu's feelings. Tang Yu denied it, and only said that he saw Bai Feifei as his daughter. Ning Shu. Was there anyone who hugged and kissed their daughter like that? Shameless. Anyway, the two of them were in a hazy and ambiguous state. It was the most touching moment. Ning Shu took some screenshots of the ambiguous scene, then turned off the computer and lay on the bed to sleep. The next morning, Tang Yu's parents came over. Tang Yu didn't come. Father Wen asked why Tang Yu didn't come. Tang Yu's parents said that their son was busy with a project and might not have time to come. Father Wen just smiled and said that men should prioritize their careers. As for what he was thinking, no one knew. When the two sides were discussing the wedding date, Tang Yu's father received a call and said, "Old one, Tang Yu said that we won't discuss the wedding date this time. This is a big event in his life, and he has to be there. He said that after he's done with the project, he'll come over to apologize to you. Let him be busy. We'll worry about these things." Father Wen's face tensed up for a moment, then he smiled and said, "This matter can't be settled so casually. We have to wait for Tang Yu to come over personally," Tang Yu's father said. The two families exchanged some pleasantries, but the wedding date still hadn't been set. Once Tang Yu's parents left, Father Wen's face darkened. Even Mother Wen frowned and frowned. What does the Tang family mean by this? Mother Wen asked Father Wen. Father Wen looked at Ning Shu. "You're the one who's disappointing. You still can't let Tang Yu marry me." "How would I know what Tang Yu is thinking?" Ning Shu retorted, then said, "Father, I don't want to marry Tang Yu. Let's just break off the engagement. Tang Yu doesn't want to marry me at all. This marriage can't be broken off just like that. This isn't a simple marriage. It concerns the interests of both parties." Father Wen scolded Ning Shu. "Your role is to marry Tang Yu. If you don't marry Tang Yu, how can the cooperation between the two of you continue? Cooperation is cooperation. Why do we have to get married? You're talking as if our relationship won't fall apart after the marriage." Ning Shu was also quite impatient. It wasn't a business deal to be in a hurry. If the cooperation falls apart, then so be it. But if it's a marriage, at least there's a guarantee, Father Wen said. You have to marry Tang Yu. Otherwise, what's the use of you? If you can't marry Tang Yu, then I can only marry you to someone else. Ning Shu was speechless. This was the difference between having power and not. Second sister Wen was also a woman, but Father Wen didn't intend to marry her off casually. When Hanlei was defined as a vase of marriage, her role was to marry Tang Yu. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.